Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday. Brum, brum, brum. Hump day. Okay. That is not how I really feel. Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday. I'm going out of town tomorrow. So, therefore, packing it all in this week so that so things don't get left going through the cracks. The Hollis universe, it really takes, deep introspection to understand the nuance of the Hollis universe. And if I dare take any time off from covering this marvelous world that we call Hollisville, we just might miss something. And it's, that would just be a tragedy. This soap opera, reality show soap opera that is ongoing would just become a Greek tragedy, and we don't want that to happen. So here we are talking about Rachel Hollis, Heidi Powell, Dave Hollis. All the peeps are in here. Let's see.
Dave, you're talking about peace, aren't you? No, I'm talking about buying my book.
No, we're talking about going to Hawaii because we all survived the hard. Whatever that means to you, probably means the same to Heidi Powell. So on the itinerary today, let's just do a summary. Let's do like a 3-paragraph, like how we wrote essays, or how I wrote essays in Florida schools at least. You got your introduction. You put the 3 points you're going to be talking about. Then in each paragraph, in the body, you're going to talk about, or what do you call it? I'm calling it like envelop, but discuss the points that you've mentioned at the top, and in the conclusion, remind everyone what we talked about. That's what we're going to do today. So first, we're going to talk about Heidi Powell and Dave Hollis going on vacation. Just quickly, just to acknowledge that Heidi may be getting her passport to Mexico the next time she has a new vacation. Thank you, JB. Are you heading to Hawaii to join Big D and Heidi? No, I'm not. But if they were to invite me...
I'm all about getting a free ride.
I'll document the trip. Now, Heidi's phone documents the trip enough for all of us. I'm going to El Salvador. Woo, woo. Another air horn necessary. Here's another one that says party noisemaker. El Salvador. Woo, woo, woo. I'll be there for a week. It's for my birthday. Birthday. I turned 31 years old. I'm turning 31. Yeah. Another year done, 'cause you are 31. That's you. So my birthday is on June 15th. I think that's on Wednesday of next week. So we're going to be chilling oceanside in El Salvador. So my life is really tough. I'll use a joke that I use on Cringefluencers. I'm only going for 1 week, and I'm going to be having a wonderful time, but I won't be here to critique Rachel Hollis, so send me $5 a month, please, through my Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, I am trying to be more pro promotion, because some people say, like, you don't promote yourself enough, which I mean, I agree, because I feel like it's a little bit ironic, but I'm like, they always talk about themselves, and then I'm like, and also, while you're at it, buy my Patreon. But there is an actual perk for once in my Patreon. I did a deep dive into Gabby Bernstein. It is now on my Patreon. It is available for patrons only, and I will release it to everyone else on Wednesday. So if you're not wanting to join, no pressure. There's just a little bit. Finally, I have something to tease. And it took me a while to work on this, so I'm hoping it does well, and I hope you enjoy it. And it gets kind of into the nitty-gritty about the Gabby Bernstein saga that is her life. So that's my one pit of plums. That's my one bit of news. If you would love to join the Patreon, we would love to have you. You know that I'm rooting for you and I love you, right? That's my catchphrase. It's totally my own, and I've come up with it. We're also going to talk about Rachel being the best boss ever, she's got the mug, greatest boss ever, according to her own words. We're going to dissect that. I know Heather, the lawyer, covered it last week. I did not watch it yet because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. I listened to the podcast. I just didn't listen to Heather's reaction. Usually I try to say my opinion first, and then I'll go listen, and then in a follow-up I'll change or add things. I just don't want it to seem like I'm repeating things or taking it from her or taking it from any of the other people who are critiquing. So I want to make sure it's like I'm not being manipulated by others. No, I just don't want to take someone else's ideas and like use them as my own. So this isn't officially my own thoughts on Rachel's podcast about getting a promotion, because we all know who I want to get advice from about getting a promotion is someone who's never really worked in a workplace before that she wasn't the CEO of. So anyways, that's that. And then we're going to also talk about, we're going to start with Rachel's vlog, because how could we not? That is the most exciting thing. They're calling it their first ever vlog, her first ever vlog, but it's not. There's been other vlogs through the years, through quarantine, through morning routines. There's been a lot of vlog content. Anyways, so let's begin with Heidi Powell. She's got a rough life, man. She's got a rough life. She is going to Hawaii, or is in Hawaii currently, with her best friend. Don't call him my boyfriend, because he's definitely not.
We're best friends.
They're just besties that hang out and go on vacation with their kids together. So they're currently there, and I just think it's so weird. Thank you, Dave Kelly. Happy birthday, Kayla. I'm sorry I don't have a card, but here's a $5 bill. Don't spend it all one place. Well, thank you, Dave. That's so sweet. Dave, but not Dave Hollis. There is a difference. Let's see. Well, for that one, I haven't played this one today. So for that, we'll start the show off right.
Oh, I love that sound.
That's the happy birthday sound from now on. Thank you very much, Dave. So Heidi, I've never heard anyone speak about vacations in this way. Heidi and her children and Dave are on vacation. Like I said that 12 times. Heidi's making it seem as if she's overcome some sort of like illness, or like her leg was chopped off or something, and now it's grown back, and she's like grateful for that. It's some sort of miracle. That's what she's equating this trip to in my mind, and I'll explain why. I'm not going to play the music, but here's what she posted yesterday. It says, "We made it. Yes to Hawaii, but mostly to happy." Okay, of course she's going to show her children. She constantly shows her children on here. It says, "To peace and to relaxation, to a much needed disconnect from the world, so we could connect with our world." Okay, very beautiful wherever they are. "I don't know what I did to deserve them, but I got them." Okay, just more children shots. Typical. "Maybe God knew we'd all need stable and consistent love and kindness in quite an inconsistent world." Can I pause this? Oh, I can pause. Thank you, Kelsey. Oh, birthday tip train. Thank you.
Oh, I love that sound.
I love that birthday sound and that super chat sound. So thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate it. And as Dave would say, this is coming from Dave, not from me.
I love you.
So I appreciate it. Okay, so so the first part's like kind of weird. It's like one of those Facebook moms just talking about their trip and how, my kids. Wonderful, fine, no problem with that. Here we get to the weird part. We see a beautiful Hawaiian sunset. Do we have to bring up? They accuse people like me of being negative. Oh, there's no negative, they're trolls. Okay, but you're looking at a beautiful Hawaiian sunset, and now you're bringing up your 2 divorces. Why? To me, that seems way more negative than me saying, like, I don't like your beliefs or whatever. I don't know. I guess you can't compare the two. But anyways, she says, 2 divorces, more moves than I can count. Okay. Endless travels and long work days. We all have been through the ringer together. Okay. And somehow they continue to consistently show me unconditional love and patience, infused with gratitude, even for the hard, when they do not have to. Okay. She's speaking about her children, and there's a couple red flags in this. This is the first red flag. So she's saying that they've all been through the ringer together. Okay, I guess so, I agree, but also you're the adult, so you're the one behind these decisions. They're really the innocent parties in all of this. They have no choice about doing all this stuff. So to say you're all in the ringer together, they're really on a separate rung because they have no autonomy. They are under your control and your ex-husband's control. So, I think it's a wording thing, but I'll let it slide this time, but it gets worse. And of course they're going to show you unconditional love. They're your children. So, they need you as a parent. Okay. So this vacation means a lot to us all, you guys. Maybe mostly me. Of course, it's always something about her is the most important. That's the theme with Heidi Powell. Whatever she's talking about, she's always got to be the most, or probably me who is affected the most, of course. We made it to a vacation we all previously only believed was possible by way of an unbroken family or a husband. So I guess what she's saying here, and I read this thing like 6 times, I was like, what are you talking about? But I guess I understand it to mean, so they, as in the 4 children and Heidi, she doesn't need to be married to travel in the United States. I don't think that's a rule that is actually ever been instated. I think the whole time Heidi could have traveled with her children alone. And the thing is, she's not even alone. She's with her boyfriend, Dave Hollis. So maybe not marriage license is not hanging on the wall of this relationship, but it's definitely a very serious relationship with a man that you're traveling with. So I don't understand, like, we did it without help of a man. It's like, yes, you did. And your family is not broken just because you got divorced. Like, I don't like that terminology, broken family, necessarily. Like, a family's a family. You can have a family with your mom and siblings, and you can have a family with your dad and siblings. I'm not going to nitpick about wording too much today because I don't want to sound insensitive. I am not an expert, as I've stated before. But it just seemed, if she was just by herself with her kids, this post would make much more sense. But the fact that she's there with Dave does not make sense to me. And also, like, is this really necessary? Like, go spend some time with your kids on this vacation that you are so proud of to have. Why do we need to send this to strangers? Okay, once again, nope. We did this. And by we, I mean all 4 of my minis who supported me with endless hugs and words of encouragement when they saw me struggling to carry the load, find my way, chase my dreams, and learn many hard lessons. Okay, I have a lot to say about this. Ember, thank you so much. Oh, you're blushing? Your pair character is blushing? Oh my gosh.
I will actually do something obscene for you.
I will do something obscene for you that will make you blush, says Dave. Here's Dave's message. This is from Ember. This is Dave's message to Heidi, just so she can know this information.
Turns out you can have a full life without putting it all on social media.
Who knew Dave Hollis would be the voice of reason in this this scenario? Okay, this is the biggest red flag of all on this stupid post. This is only day 1. They haven't slept in Hawaii at this point when this was posted. And by we, I mean all 4 of my minis who supported me with endless hugs and words of encouragement when they saw me struggling to carry the load, find my way, chase my dreams, and learn many hard lessons. That is not your children's responsibility. That is your responsibility. Where is your kids' dreams? Where are your kids' struggles? Where are your kids carrying the load of being a child in this, family scenario? It's all about Heidi. It's all about her. All roads lead back to how this affects me as a person. It's just, I hate that because I think I'm triggered by it because I see my mom in a lot of this. Not that she's like the same way of like being exhibitionist where it's like my mom never will post a photo of herself ever, but she believes that like I should support her in her decisions. I need to support her in her life, and if I don't immediately support her, then I'm against her, and that's how it is. It's like, and even when I was a kid, she needed the support from me. And I'm like, I'm 17. I don't know how to handle these complex things that have gone on in your childhood. I'm living my childhood. I don't know how to help you. And then I felt like I was not helpful, and then that, it's a cycle. It's a whole thing. Talk to my therapist. She'll tell you exactly what the issues are. But yeah, it's not good. This behavior of a mother to children or dad to children, forcing or trying to coerce your kids to give you emotional support, not a good idea, in my humble opinion, as someone who experienced it as a former child. Thanks, Dave Kelly. It's giving you life. Well, for that, I have the perfect soundbite.
Giving me life.
Thank you, Dave Kelly. Once again, I appreciate that. So it's a very burdensome. I see MP's comment. It's very burdensome to put on your children to have to lessen your load. If that's the case, if they need to help you with chores or something, that's different. But this seems to be a lot of emotional support. You need to go find a friend. You need to, for real, go find a therapist, not Danielle, the life coach, who's, also on your payroll. That's not who I mean. Like someone else that you can talk to about this, that is not your child, because they can't leave and they want to love you because they're your child. All right, committing now to leaving it all behind for the next little bit, committing to being here and only here. Okay, what a introspective post this is. Again, like she's on her phone this whole time. She could just be having these moments phoneless, but it's much better to connect with the strangers on the internet that they all hate apparently. And that's it. So concerning. These posts are kind of just like documenting, of course, they're at the gym, wonderful, okay, they're going to the beach, Dave is hanging out with these children as opposed to his own children, that's kind of weird, but to each its own. Okay, there's no screens except for she's on her phone the whole time, she's eating a sandwich allegedly, okay, they're recording, a lot of recording. She's like, I'm just gonna be here now, I'm just gonna be here in the moment, okay, aka on my phone. Again, it's a free country, you're free to do what you want, whatever, but there was a lot of documentation. Oops, there goes my pen. I'll grab another one. There was a lot of documentation of this trip so far, and I just find it personally odd, to say the least. It's like, go to Hawaii and have a vacation. When I'm gone tomorrow and gone for the week, if I start to say, wow, guys, getting a step back away from this. I'm glad my cat has been supporting me through this journey of growing on YouTube. It's been really hard, and I'm just going to take a step back and then record 25 Instagram posts. You can also say I'm a hypocrite, because that would be fair. All right, that's our friends Heidi Powell and Dave Hollis. Since we're on the Heidi train quickly, it's not going to take very long. I refuse to listen to Dave Hollis's most recent podcast. Oh, you heard that? Does anyone hear that? That was thunder. It's about to thunderstorm over here in Florida. He's run out of stories. Dave Hollis has 100% run out of material to talk about on his podcast, in his books. I've heard them all. I know every single one of Dave Hollis's stories. There's that he almost got into a gifted program in the 3rd grade, that he got in trouble. He was valedictorian and was supposed to give a speech, but got in trouble the day before and didn't get to do it. He got divorced from Rachel, and it was really hard for him. He went to rehab, and it was amazing, amazing, amazing. He left Disney World. Or not Disney World. He left Disney as a president. That is all Dave has. That is his stories, and the rest reside in Built Through Courage, and those are boring as hell. He met The Rock once, he met Dan Rather on a plane once, and he got to talk to Steven Spielberg on the phone once. That's Dave's stories. So he's gonna pull from one of those every time he does this blog. This is his 2nd blog post. This is the email that links to the blog post. We don't have to read the whole thing, but basically he's retelling the story about how he was a jackass and got suspended on the last day of school. He didn't get to give his speech on graduation. What he did apparently was flip off his teacher or principal for some reason, and then someone saw him and he got banned from the ceremony. So he decided, I think this this speech from 1993 will be really relevant today for graduates of 2022. And he wrote it all in his blog. This is just a summary of it. But a lot of Dave remains in this speech. Even youthful Dave is got the same type of writing style. A little bit better, actually. I think he's actually gotten worse with time. It says, I'll just read this first line. There's a time for every pursuit and a season for every endeavor, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. So, yeah. And he talked about being courageous, apparently. So it was all, built through high school. Apparently. And then, what else? That was about it for that. The shocking thing is that he's going to interview a Holocaust survivor, which Dr. Edith Egger. That's pretty awesome and interesting. I'm surprised and confused as to how he got such a great guest. So I listened to all of them, but I probably will listen to actually hear something. And if Dave once compares himself to a Holocaust survivor and his struggle with his divorce, I'm going to lose it. So I'll let you know how it goes. JB, thank you so much. JB says, imagine being almost 50 and still talking about high school. Imagine being almost 50 and still talking about nearly making the 3rd grade gifted program.
That wasn't nice.
I know, Dave. But Dave is better than us because
I will slowly buy you a boat.
He can buy boats and Hawaiian vacations. So maybe we're the ones who need to go back and start talking about high school, because apparently he makes money somehow doing this. Again, allegedly. So then he's talking about a movie that him and Heidi did on date night. Apparently these are best friends that go on date night. Totally cool. Then, he reveals that, which I don't, again, know why they reveal that, where their kids are, who's got custody at what time, but this is 2022, people. We just that's part of the content, sharing custody arrangements with strangers through email, through one-way pen pal relationships. So they were with Rachel for 3 weeks, and now he's got them for 3 weeks until they go to summer camp. Hashtag peace sign emoji, which is an inside joke inside of the Reddit community. So I guess he is trying to say that he supports the Reddit community. I don't know. Who knows these days? But anyways, that's Dave. He's doing the same shit, different day. Different family, same position in it. The father figure in a new family now. That won't be traumatizing for anyone. All right, anyways, that's them. They're boring, and they both need help. So we'll just leave it at that. But our girl Rach, she is thriving. She is
the only hippie.
And she definitely wants to be
relatable.
So of course, vlogging is the next natural step. Rach Talk is done, except for when she goes live and does it on tour. Then Rach Talk will be back. But for YouTube purposes, it's now into vlogging. So let's watch Rachel Hollis's first vlog, at least this year. You can't see the title here. Whoa. Jumping ahead of myself. It says, our first vlog, Andy Grammer, LA, and Rach Talk Live. It has 2,146 views. Success! Okay, here we go. Okay, I have a question about this. Why? Is the purpose of this to be green screened out so that she only looks like she's a walking head with a white button-up shirt with little sleeves? I don't know why they would pull out the green screen for this one. This is just a video question. Just curious. Or she wants to be, I'm green. I'm a green goddess. I'm one with the earth. Not sure, but I'm no fashionista. I am not one. I promise you that. I usually wear, this is my plethora of outfits, Gap shirts that I've worn, 100,000 times since I bought them in 2016. I'm just not feeling these outfits. It's very, well, first of all, are they thrifted? ? We know she's allowed to wear clothes that aren't thrifted, but I guess if she doesn't own them, that's her rule. She can't own them, but she can wear them for photo shoots. I'm not feeling the style. I don't care for it. That's just my personal opinion. It just looks a little like, who is she trying to be? I don't feel like this is Rachel's true, like, fashion style. But then again, she's ever evolving, so who's to say? And maybe her actual style is invisible because she's going to wear the green on the green. Anyways, all right, back to the montage. Can this go up any higher? Let's see. 720. Better. Much better. Okay, there you go.
I don't want to zip your cooch up.
I am two things.
Okay, so just once again, Rachel has a voice. I think it happens in the car is where she starts to get her sweet voice, her Victorian child voice. And I'll try to remember how I did it the one time in a stream. It was like, I am Rachel Hollis. I'm just this poor girl. I'm driving in my SUV Tesla. I don't know what this is. It's got a nice sunroof on it. I'm just trying to tell you something because I really care about you. It's so sweet. I'm just a little girl. That's this voice that she's got going on. And it happens to show up a lot in the car. So I just wanted to point that out. There's several voices that we'll hear throughout this video.
I'm driving into downtown Austin because I am interviewing Andy Grammer this morning for the podcast.
Okay, I don't really have an opinion about Andy Grammer. I know his song, this one basically. Right about now, woohoo! Like, yeah, that's on the radio. This video makes this concert look pretty bad, and I don't know why exactly. It just looks like it's like 10 people, and it's very like the audience is very calm, and I think it's just like unfortunate planning or an unfortunate location where she's at, maybe. Because she's pretty close, so maybe it goes far back and there's like an audience that's really engaged. But this, if I was to see this, I'd be like, I'm not going to go to an Andy Grammer concert because that looks pretty lame. But, I'm not saying that's his abilities or his talents. It just, like, this video is not selling this concert for me.
And one, I wanted to show you guys this because it's so cute.
Thanks, Mator Gordzata.
Okay, so this is backwards. I came out to have coffee the other morning and there's a little box.
What's in the box?
You can't see because it's backwards, but Boo had gotten me this. He heard me say once that I'd always wanted, like when I was a little girl, I always wanted a name necklace and have always wanted it as an adult and just like never got one. And he bought it for me and it's the coolest company.
All right, so Boo is still in the picture. I was wrong. I hate to take shame in that, but, I thought something had happened and her and Boo were on the outs. And maybe they were. Maybe they got back together or whatever. But Shilly, thank you so much. Oh, my goodness. Got my heart ready for this live. Hey, yeah. What is SEK? Is that... am I dumb? What is that currency? SEK. I don't know. Does it translate is the most important thing.
18 stinking dollars. It is
What about?
18 American dollars.
Let us know what the conversion rate is. And Dave once again
I'm sorry
says...
you don't have a job.
Okay, so here's my theory. So I was wrong about, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shilly. So I was wrong about Rachel and Boo thing getting a breakup, getting a divorce, getting a breakup. They were never married, as far as I know. But again, like, this to me seems like he doesn't know her name. So he's like, all right, let me get this necklace so that when I forget her name, because I have 10 other girlfriends, I can look at her collarbone and be like, oh yeah, Rachel, that's who I'm seeing this week. That's mean.
That wasn't nice.
That wasn't nice of me, but it's kind of interesting. Oh, and so this is an aside. I'm not going to play the podcast with Andy Grammer because it was like overall boring. And well, not boring. I tend to like her interviews much more than I like her talking to herself for an hour. So at least I hear someone else's perspective. But in the interview with Andy Grammer, she alludes to, because you know how we were talking about before, and you know, if you weren't there, basically Rachel had said that she just wants to become a songwriter for fun. She doesn't want to make it a career. She doesn't want to make it a project. She just wants to go and like explore her talents and whatever. Apparently it was Boo Thing who put that pressure on her. She said, my boyfriend told me that I should make the country singing a project and I should have a song that I'm working on, have a project, and I disagreed. So once again, Boo Thing is shown in this negative light. She always brings up stuff. I mean, she's like, oh, my boyfriend's the best thing ever, my boo thing, my boo thing. But just like Dave, she's got like annoyances with him that she openly shares with her audience. So what do you want us to do with that information? Like this guy or think he's an asshole? Because I kind of feel the latter. But this is also coming directly from Rachel's mouth, so who's to say? I don't know who to believe, who's right and who's wrong. I'm trying to think what else she said about him. There was something else in that podcast that was sort of interesting. I'll think about it. Let's keep watching. Oh, and we're gonna see Boo Thing in this, kind of. So keep your eyes peeled because it goes fast.
It's like women owned and it's a B Corp, and yeah, it was really sweet. So this is my new necklace stack that I'm rocking. Also, I have volunteered to be the coffee.
What she said there was coffee bitch, because she says it without it being bleeped in the Andy Grammer podcast, which I thought was totally inappropriate. And she says it to Andy Grammer as if like she is, you know, the celebrity, but she is so down to earth. She doesn't want to get too big. She's like, I don't want to get too big that I'm not like, you know, on the ground level helping my employees. So today, like for example, I'm coffee bitch and I get to go and grab everyone coffee. I was like, okay, why don't you just like have a better title for that, or just say, hey, can someone grab the coffee? This is a totally or a very important job for this shoot. We all need to be caffeinated. Like, not put the position down by calling it coffee bitch. I don't know. Like, she will stoop to the level to do it because she has, you know, she's humble. She's a humble queen, so she's able to get coffee and take turns. But just the name, it was a very degrading name to call the person who's getting the coffee for the staff. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I would be pissed if someone said, hey, can you grab the coffee for this photo shoot? Oh yeah, we're gonna call you coffee bitch behind your back. Be like, all right, cool, thanks.
Which is probably rude, but that is what we call the person who gets the coffee for a production shoot. So I just got everyone's order and I'm gonna go get coffee from my favorite place. I also love this because when someone's in town, I want them to try all my favorite places in Austin. So I'm gonna go get Merit for everybody. Did it. I accidentally got cold brews that are big enough for Vikings.
Skål!
Skål.
Being the coffee carrier is a lot more when you got, like...
That sure is weird too. Laura Andrea, thank you so much. Or Andrea, let me know. Laura says, I hope this helps slowly buy you a boat inside of El Salvador so you can say, it's giving me life on your birthday. Thank you so much. I will.
It's giving me life.
This $4.99 super chat
I will slowly buy you a boat.
will slowly buy me a boat. And I know that because
I'm all about getting a free ride.
that's if I survive the hard of the 2-hour flight, that, you know, I will be able to make it, you know, strong and make sure I can get through the hard, because the hard is what forms us in the fire, as Heidi would say. These people are crazy. Okay. These people are
I am
crazy.
not emotionally stable.
We know. Yeah, this shirt's cool. I like the colors. But the eye and the rainbow, there's a lot going on in this shirt.
All the bags. Oh, God. I was instructed to come to the back door of the theater, just in case you guys are wondering how glamorous my life is.
I wasn't wondering how glamorous your life is because you're a former girl boss turned canceled current writer. I assumed it was a lot worse than it actually is being presented to me via this blog. So I never wondered how glamorous it was. And you're going into a photo studio. This is about what I would expect. Any celebrity, I don't even think she's a celebrity. Any person going to some sort of like studio, I don't think that they need to be limoed to the front and the red carpet comes down for you. But you might think differently. She's like, guys, I'm such a music nerd. I know you've never heard of this person, but John Lennon, he's pretty cool.
Guys, this is why Jack gets paid the big bucks, because this...
I'm trying to judge his shots. Okay, let's see. Yeah, looks good. ISO, yeah. Okay, I support this. He's got I don't know what camera this is. I can't tell. It's a nice camera. It's expensive, I think. No, okay, Jack, you're approved. We approve of your video skills.
Jack.
Jack's been getting a lot of play airtime lately, too. He must be like the last holdout employee.
Shot looks amazing, and this is what he is working with. This is the best.
Yeah, I can't tell the camera still.
Never done a podcast next to the paper towel.
Canon. Okay, those are nice. Those are good. That's not
So
crazy.
that's great.
It's funny that you say the point of view because they had sort of a very different concept, and I was like,
Is it hard to talk about, to just sort of say like, hey, I needed help, or would it have been hard in the past?
I don't know. I think it's more just me to myself. And for sure, I'm terrified of, I really like the perception that I've created of myself.
Yeah.
that I have it together, or that I think that my music is uplifting and inspirational. And so I would have expected that during a pandemic when life got really hard,
Yeah.
that I'd be someone that you would come to.
Right.
That's what I put on myself, on my
Right.
shoulders. And I was like, not the
Right.
one you want.
You
right
were
now.
the one that was going to have the answers for a global
I
pandemic.
got it. I got it.
Hey,
That's
guys.
literally where I am in my head. Don't worry about it, guys.
Again, like I think he's a good. I don't know if he's a good performer. I've never seen him live. The songs are good enough. I don't know why this video just makes it seem like, yeah, hey, yeah. Okay, here's Boosing. He's got a lot of jewelry on. That's a lot. That's quite a bit of jewelry he's got there. He's got the Jack Sparrow jewelry collection. The post-court date jewelry collection. Jewelry collection. That's how you say it. Okay, 1 second. I saw a question about, oh my gosh, so big. Let's just fill the screen. Do the tanks run small? My size is a medium, and I think it's pretty roomy. So, but the medium works for me, and I feel like I can go between small or medium depending on tank tops. So I would say lean, maybe, I don't know. I always go bigger and then they shrink anyway. So maybe go medium. That'd be my suggestion. But thank you for asking that, Emily. And my friend just got a blue one the other day, like my friend in real life. And I have the pink one. So if you get a different color, we can be the rainbow trio of the tank tops. So thank you for being interested in buying one. Okay, back to boothing. Okay, so let's just go back a little second here. Okay, they're on the plane, so he's like, yo, mahalo, whatever. But she's not going to show his face. God, are you hearing this thunder? So that's as much as we got. So I guess they had sake or something They're working on their laptops. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings, 2 bracelets. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I guess she's always had rings, so, you know, there you go. She's eating an apple, showing his torso. I mean, I guess it's better than like what she did with Dave, throwing him into everything. But this is like, he's there. He's a part of the content. She talks about him constantly. So is this any better? Because she's like, I will never, ever do what I did to with my first marriage by including my, you know, romantic relationships in my content again. And yet, oh, it's better because his head's cut off? Like, I don't know. Is that better? He's still there. I still know all these details about how he doesn't care about you and doesn't ask you questions and gave you bad advice and, you know, is so busy and is from Europe and is British and I don't know. Okay, oh, she's got her necklace in.
I am headed to the photo shoot. This is my photo shoot vibe, which is basically just comfortable. But I think we might go out afterwards for a drink. And I also feel like in LA, I can get away with this as like an ensemble, maybe?
This is fine.
You think?
She always complains about her clothes. It's like, you choose what you wear. It looks fine. So Rosie's coffee bitch now, as Rachel would call it, not me.
This is a tuxedo and the pants are really tight and they are trying to crawl inside my body, Jack, so my legs are gonna stay wide so that we keep this PG. We're just experimenting with colors with our suits.
I don't know. This much like self-promotion, I don't know. It's like, is this healthy? Is this healthy for human beings to do? To literally make a montage of them in a photo shoot on a channel where they only talk about themselves and give advice to other people based on what their own life experience is? Like, this is not healthy in any way. I just watched 30 seconds of her going like, taking pictures for her book cover, perhaps, and or branding for this Rach Talk Live, which I am not convinced there is an audience for. I'm going to be I will eat my words, and I will just be like, yo, I don't know anything about marketing or self-help or anything if people sell out these tickets to these cities. I'll be utterly shocked. So I don't know. Maybe I am in my own echo chamber, as they say, but like, I'm assuming she's paying for this for herself. So it's not like some company is paying for her to get this photo shoot. It's not like HarperCollins necessarily, I don't think, is sponsoring this photo shoot. I don't believe. I think she's self-sponsoring because she's not going to give up, which I'll give her credit, man. She does not give up. Despite probably she should, you know, to have a better chance later. She has the attitude of like, I will never give up no matter what. If 0 people watch my channel and read my books, I will still create it. And for that, I go, okay, I gotta say there's some good to that, I suppose. Is it good for her mental health? Probably not. Is it good for anyone else? Probably not. But if that's her goal in life, is to just try until there's no trying left, then she's doing it. She's on the right path. Okay, let's continue the montage of her in a photo shoot.
Well, kind of adds something.
I'm trying to figure out what is this for, and I guess we'll find out over time, but it just seems like, okay, woman in pantsuits.
And
okay.
We're changing sets, and when you stop moving, that's when you get like all your energy drops. And also I'm really hungry.
Hold on, my nose is running. That's sexy.
I
I have lost the ability to use words. Burp, burp, burp. So what am I not saying? How can
She's so relatable.
I want to be relatable.
Meanwhile, I just put like a montage of me spilling water on myself at the end of the Gabby Bernstein video. So the pot calling the kettle black, that's me.
I say this? This fall, I am so excited to bring Rage Talk to your city, assuming that you live in one of these cities, which are.
Oh, I thought she was going to give us the inside scoop. Nope, we got to wait till June 13th, so next Tuesday-ish, right? Yes.
Boom. That's it. That's the places that we're going. So join me.
I wonder if they haven't finalized it yet. Like, they have some cities that have agreed or some locations, and now they're trying to finalize. Are you hearing that? Kitty, come here. Don't be scared. If I go offline, it's because the lightning has cracked through the house and has killed me. Yikes. That was loud. Okay. I got distracted. Back
the
to
Rage
Rachel.
Talk live tour, where I sit around in the theater in your town, drink caffeine, and talk about random things. Feel like
Who would ever go to this with, like, out it being ironic? Okay. I guess me, but, like, I'm doing it for irony's sake. Who would go? Like, I just want to go hear this random woman ramble about her own personal life. I've already read all. If you've read all her books, you've watched all her shows and stuff, and like whatever. If you consume it all, that so much so that you want to go watch her live, how many more stories could she possibly have?
feel like you have it, Jack? Great, because it's f***ing hot. We just wrapped the photo shoot for the key art for Rach Talk Live Tour, which is happening this fall. It was so fun. It was so fun because we like got the band back together. We haven't done a shoot with this crew in a while. Rose and Vanessa. But yeah, and you were here too, Jack. That was fun. But yeah, now we're gonna go eat.
Yeah, I think Rosie is a friend, but also she's the stylist, so I'm assuming she gets paid. I would hope so. The photographer, I would hope, gets paid, and Jack is an employee or a contractor of some sort. You know, videographer for Rachel. So all three people here are paid by her to be there. So it's not like I haven't seen an assistant from anywhere else or someone coordinating this. This just seems to be on her dime, on her direction, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But it's much less than like a Quibi show where there was a staff and a team and, you know, she had to, and we're going to talk about that, I believe, in this podcast, that she, you know, didn't like some of the ways that things were handled on that set. Because she wasn't in charge. She wasn't the boss babe.
Which is so clutch and so crucial and really important. It's a very LA thing to do. Oh God. So I had this big plan that I was going to go to the Rose Bowl today because I used to always run there when I lived in LA, and honestly, I'm exhausted. I came to LA, had several different like events that I was going to. I did the photo shoot, went to 2 different concerts, just like a lot of things. And I went last night, one of my friends was performing and I went to watch him, and my girlfriends and I had like literally no business being at Wango Tango because we're in our late 30s.
JB, you spoke too soon. That's them right there.
We had the time of our lives, and I will tell you what, I can't run today. I can't run not because I drank too much, but because I danced too hard, and my body is so sore. It's pretty freaking embarrassing.
Heather the lawyer, you have not subscribed till right now, this moment? I'm so sad. Oh my gosh, but now I'm happy. And I knew you were going to subscribe because I asked.
My guardian angels, my spirit guides.
And they said that you would subscribe today. So I predict that. Just kidding.
What am I doing? I'm going to go get a massage because tomorrow I'm back in mom mode in a big way. And this is my last like day of rest. So I'm going to get a massage, and I'm in LA and I could eat anywhere. And I'll tell you what, I'm about to go have the best lunch, and I will not be judged for this. I'm
would
so
judge
pumped.
you?
I'm the queen of can't eat anywhere, still eats random, fast, casual Mexican food. So, let's go.
Again, what's the need to say that? I'm the queen of being so rich, I could like literally spit out caviar onto a poor person and they would like not say anything because they'd be scared that I would take them to court over that. And then, but I still eat at Chipotle. Like, okay, Rachel.
I want to be relatable.
Ugh. Like, how is this? Yeah, what is this like relatable? Yeah, right, Heather. You've been caught red-handed. You've been canceled. I'm just kidding. Welcome. Welcome. Seriously, thank you. You're always welcome here. Yeah, so that's a humble brag if I ever heard one. And let's see where she chooses to eat. She doesn't eat fast food. She told us that last time. She refuses to eat fast food. She's gonna eat at the peasant table though, at this place where she's getting a salad. Sharkies. I don't know what that is. I think I've heard of that before on H3's podcast. Like, are we supposed to praise her for this? Like, oh my God, Rachel could have went to the Waldorf Astoria. She could have went to the Beverly Hills Diner or whatever, the Beverly Hills Hotel, and she could afford it because she ripped people off by telling them marriage advice that she had no leg to stand on to give advice from. Oh wow, but she's so humble. She eats a salad that's still probably more expensive than like 99% of what the country eats on a daily basis, for lunch. Whatever. Cool. Hey, Rachel Hollis vlogs, everybody. Wow, amazing. I learned so much about Rachel Hollis. Yeah, I guess I like it better than Rach Talk, but the bar is so low that, it does not sing very much to say that, oh wow, like that was more interesting. Anyways, okay, so now we're going to listen to the podcast episode. And Heather, perfect timing that you showed up for this part because, and I will say again, I don't know if you saw at the top, that I didn't see your video yet about your recap, so I'll watch it after that. I don't want to watch sometimes when I think I'm going to probably cover it too, just so I get my own ideas so I'm not either consciously or subconsciously taking your words or someone else's analysis and applying it to my own. Because I think sometimes then it sounds repeat, we all repeat and nah. Hello? Okay, am I live? Are we back live? That was interesting. Hi, hello, anyone? I'm gonna fix my camera, give me 1 second. Oh my gosh. Okay, hi. That was scary. I was delivering oh wait, okay, hold on. You can hear me on my non-good microphone. Stand by. Hello? Is anyone there? Yes. Okay. Hi. We're back in session. The sound's delayed. Okay, let's see. We should all be good. Okay. Better? Thank you everyone for staying. Yeah, that was super cool. I was just I'm glad I didn't have to make a new one. That actually worked out great. So next time I'll just stand by and wait for everything to turn back on and then hopefully it just does it. I look darker though, I think. Like the one light, just like when a shade darker. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so let's start this segment over. New scene, end scene, new scene. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I'm telling you, it's like crack and lightning above, like right above. Come here, kitty. Come here. Little Taro's scared, I think. She's not scared. She's like, wants to go outside, honestly, is what she wants. See? She knew. Oh, they're not synchronized still? Okay, let me fix it, maybe. Is it better now, or is it worse now? It is better now, or it is worse now. Tell me. Or the video is delayed, not the sound. Okay, let me know if it got worse, or if it got better. Was it worse before, and now it's better? I don't know. Let me know. We'll get through it. I'm going to be doing a lot of listening anyway, so we'll figure it out. Okay. So, starting new scene now. So now we're going to listen to episode 292, How to Get Promoted. This is Rachel Hollis's podcast telling us how to get promoted as people who work in establishments. And she's going to give us her advice as someone who has most likely never been promoted or, hasn't really held many jobs other than where she was the sole runner and CEO or, the leader of the group, sponsored by Dave Hollis. So let's begin. We'll talk about it. We're going to get some insights into the Rachel Hollis Company or the Hollis Company and their inner workings. And I think she reveals a lot of things that make it very red flaggy. So on that note, I am synced and ready to go. Rach, are you ready?
Rach.
Oh. One more thing to fix. Okay, and I should be able to hear it now. Yeah. Okay, so I already skipped ahead from the intro. I already went through the what happened to dinosaur stuff. Now we're going to start at the beginning. Ready and go.
We're going to try this again. And also, I just learned a very important lesson, which is I feel like every time I do a podcast, and you guys have probably seen it if you watch the podcast on YouTube or maybe you've listened to the beginning of some of these episodes, I feel like I'm always talking about how hard it is to set everything up. And I just realized I'm creating this reality that it's super hard to set up all my podcast equipment and figure out the lighting for the video. And so I just create more of it. I realized I was literally starting the podcast and feeling frustrated about how long it took me to set everything up. And then I realized that it can always be harder. You can always spill an entire bottle of water everywhere. And there is that. So I'm just going to be grateful. I take the equipment down.
Rachel, editing note, cut this stuff out. We don't need to know any of this. It doesn't make you relatable.
I want to be relatable.
I know you want to be relatable. I know.
But also,
you don't need to be. We get it. You're a human being who spills water sometimes. Setting up the lights are hard. Let's just skip this part. Hurry it up.
Because it is if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see behind me is my den. This is where my kids hang out. We watch movies in here. And because I have a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, they're really good, but they do sometimes like to explore and play with things. And so I put away the equipment so that they don't mess it up, which is why I got to set it up every time, which is why it's always frustrating. But we're going to start saying that we are so grateful, which I am, to be able to work from home. And this is just one of the joys of working from home. This is not what today's episode is about. Now I got to readjust things.
Get to the
I spilled
point.
water. Today we're talking about how to get promoted. How to get promoted. I just want to stick that in here right away so that you know where we're headed, even though we've gotten off to a bit of a fumbling start.
By your own choice.
I noticed I was sort of combing through the back catalog and looking at the episodes that I've done over the last 6 months. I try really hard to pay attention to what you guys respond to and create more of the stuff that you're loving. And
We're loving you dropping tea on Dave. That's basically the number one highlight that I think is inappropriate for the kids, but it is actually juicy to understand their marriage woes and to get more insight. That's what people really want, I think.
I noticed was that any episode that was about the workplace has done really well. So taking a stab in the dark and assuming that lots of you are having careers, creating careers. Not everybody, I understand, but there are a big part of our listenership who are maybe just starting out in their first job out of college, or maybe doing that first job in high school. Maybe you have been in your field for a really long time, you're transitioning to a new industry, or maybe you just are trying to work and be the very best version of you, and you want to do that in the career as well. And so I'm taking a cue from what y'all have responded to, and I'm going to try this episode and see if you like it. Y'all, can we just manifest? I just want you to hear me manifesting that I'm going to build.
I think I just need to put that as a soundbite. I want you to hear me manifesting the Rachel Hollis podcast. That's what the whole thing is in a nutshell.
Fabulous studio. I have this, like, it's not a barn on my property. I call it a barn because I don't know what else to call it. But here in Texas, people like to build these structures where they like put their boats and tractors and such. And I don't have boats and tractors and such. So I just have this structure on my property that doesn't have anything in it. And I have this like dream that I'm going to build out the interior, and that's going to be where I do all the podcasts, and like I'm going to have guests over, and it's going to be so beautiful and cool, and it'll be like out in the barn. But we're not there yet. So
we got a long way to go for that. We've had like one guest in the last, maybe 2 guests in the last 2 months that she went on location for. So I'm not needing a barn for you to record, journal entries to yourself. You can do that right where you're at, Rachel. No need to build the barn out. Make it a barn. That'll probably provide you more joy in your life. Have a horse or 2,
Hear me say that we're going to do that. It's going to be amazing. I'm manifesting it. And that's coming someday. We'll have shoots again where someone actually sets up the lighting for me so it's consistent. But in the meantime, I do my best, y'all. Let's talk about how to get promoted.
Rachel, go to YouTube and search how to set up the lights. She says that she got her whole career, $1 million built on the back of YouTube and Google search bar. Why can't you set up the light the same way? There's 1,000 million tutorials out there. God, take your own advice.
And this information is coming at you from 2 perspectives. One is from the perspective of an entrepreneur. I've owned a company for 20 years and have had employees for 18 of those 20 years.
Just reveal how many employees you have now. That's the information I want. She had 60 in 2020, and now my guess is 3 max. And I don't even know if they're full-time. That's my guess based on LinkedIn stalking, and not stalking for real, like LinkedIn searching. Judge, I didn't mean it. Words matter. I wasn't stalking. I was just looking on LinkedIn. That's it. Thank you, Your Honor. Okay.
And so I have a lot of thoughts and feelings as the person who is promoting employees, who has given raises, have given bonuses, has done sort of all of those things. I am coming at you with the perspective of that person as a manager or a leader in an organization who has made decisions about who gets promoted. So this is just like, I'm giving it to you, totally real, authentic truth telling about how I have decided to do that with people who are on my team. This is also coming at you from someone who was an employee for a very long time. So I got my first job when I was 15 years old, like most people.
Very long time. You were married and already working in events at like 20. So she's working her first job at 15, but working as a 15-year-old and working in corporate America at 25 is a very different experience and very different as to how you get promoted. So I think that's a stretch. I was an employee for a very long time, like 5 years, part-time, on and off.
I mean, honestly, I got my first job when I was 11. I babysat every summer, all summer long, when I was starting at the age of 11 because
my first job was in the womb. I actually had to push myself out to begin life. And, that basically is labor. It's called labor for a reason, because that was my first job, is leaving the birth canal and leading the placenta out behind me, because I am, of course, the buck stopped with me. I go first and others follow. So, since I was just seconds old, I've really been an entrepreneur. That's Rachel's intro for her new book. Okay, I beat Rachel. My first job was when I was 10 years old. I was a paper route girl, paper route kid. When I throw the papers, take my wagon out in Canada, because Canada's a lot different culture than Florida. They let kids like that have jobs. 10-year-olds are like, yeah, go. Here, I'll give you 10 quarters a week. But it was fun. I'm not going to lie. So, sorry, Rach. I beat you.
Family didn't have a lot of money, and if you wanted sort of anything, if you wanted to go to the movies with your friends, or you wanted to like buy, clothes that weren't hand-me-downs or didn't come from Goodwill or Costco, then you had to make money. So I really started working when I was 11. I got my first like real job when I was 15. I worked at a sandwich shop called the Substation downtown. I think it's still there in my hometown in Bakersfield. Oh, we made the best sandwiches ever. I still crave them sometimes. But that was my first job, and I have just worked.
So she works as a teen. Okay, that's cool. That's, it's not easy stuff to work at a young age, and she's a hard worker. I always say that Rachel's a hard worker. JB, us Canadian. I don't really consider myself Canadian. I lived there for a couple years, but the Canadians, they love their paper routes, their paper routes, roots, right? That's how they say it. I forget. My paper route. Give me a toonie. Give me a loony and a toonie on your paper route. That's what I remember. Wait, I got off track about loonies and toonies. Let's just go back to Rachel.
Forever.
Oh, she hates Costco now. It was Sears before. Her parents bought her a coat at Sears, and she sneered at it and said, Sears? Gross. I hate Sears. I want to go to Burberry or whatever. And now she's hating on Costco. Costco, I don't have a membership. When I was a kid, people with Costco memberships, I was like, dang, they rich. They're rich. They got to pay to shop? Dang. So I didn't get the luxury of shopping at Costco. We were a BJ's family for like a month on the free trial. But she just, again, like, can we not put down these places where there's legitimate items that people probably in your audience are not laughing at, snickering at, sneering at? Like, I get where her point of view is that, oh, well, I'm rich, so I don't need to do this anymore. But a lot of people who are listening to this shop there because they want to clothe their children or they want to clothe themselves. So I don't like the negativity. As she would say, I'm the most positive person ever. To me, that seems like a negative comment. Like, my parents forced me to shop at Costco. Ugh. It's like, okay.
It's the only time I have not worked in the last, if I'm 39, I guess 28 years is when I was on maternity leave. It's the only time I haven't been working. And even then I was like taking care of a baby. That's definitely work. So that's the perspective I'm bringing. I feel like I was always a really great employee. I always kind of got jobs that were a bit over my skis, meaning like I would go for stuff that I had no right to go for, and I would get hired because I'll tell you some of the things that I did that I hope are going to help you get.
She never gets to that point. I waited for this because I was like, okay, how did she get these jobs? I've always wanted to know how she got the job at Miramax, who she talked to, how she did it. Did she walk in 20 days in a row and hand them their resume? Was it a job fair? What? We don't figure it out. She never gets there because she goes off on a tangent about how great of a boss she is. We never get to Rachel as an employee. Unless if I've like blanked it from my memory. I don't think she ever actually answers that question.
Hired, get promoted, get that great bonus at the end of the year, but just to evolve. I am going to keep using this quote that I love. There's an author named Ben Hardy. I'm going to interview him soon on the podcast, and I got the chance to read one of his new books that comes out, I think, next month. And he has this quote that I loved and I just keep saying, which is, it's better to fail at being the future version of yourself than to succeed being the current one.
Okay, that quote, she also said that in the Andy Grammer podcast, but then she completely contradicts herself. Like, again, she does this every single podcast, every single piece of content she makes, she'll say something like that, and then she'll contradict herself later, because that quote, she's like, I'd rather fail at being the future version of myself than succeed at the one whatever I'm doing now. But then later on in the podcast with Andy Grammer, she's like, if you're waiting for tomorrow, and like, the future plans, you're not enjoying the present. So like, you really need to just like relax and enjoy the moment and like realize like, your goals are coming. You need to just, take every day step by step. It's like, isn't that the total opposite of that quote and what that means? Like she's saying like, I don't want to, succeed at being the current version of myself. I need to always be growing instead of dying. Again, like, I don't know if she does this so that she doesn't get criticized, because she can say like, I didn't say that, look, I said this. Or she just doesn't even understand what she's even saying anymore, and that she's just like regurgitating random stuff and doesn't even see that they're not correlated at all anymore. I don't know. We'll find out, or never. Who knows?
Meaning, if you have a vision of where you want to go, if there are things that you want to do in your life, your career, your business, and you sort of feel scared, you feel unsure, you maybe feel stuck, it's this beautiful reminder that it's better to fail in pursuit of becoming a better version of yourself than to just stay as who you are.
Why?
Seth Godin has a book called The Dip. And in The Dip, he lots of great advice. It's a really short book. You can grab it and read it. Sort of kind of what to do when you feel stuck, if you're unsure if you want to quit something, or should you keep going? Should you keep trying? And in that whole book, the one thing that
Thanks,
I really
Katie.
like glommed onto was this line where he says, people think that quitting something, quitting the pursuit of something great, that there are like sort of only two options. You either quit or you stay where you're at. He's like, the opposite of quitting is not staying stuck. The opposite of quitting is recommitting to where it is you want to go. Some of you feel stuck right now, but you're not supposed to quit. You know that there's a light at the end of this tunnel and you're supposed to be pursuing this thing. And what you need is not just to stay here. What you need is to recommit with passion to where it is you want to go.
No, thanks.
So,
I'm good.
let's talk about how to get promoted. Let's start with like, why? Why should you get promoted? Why is that something that you...
Well, I would like to be able to afford the ever-increasing gas and food and luxury items so that I will not end up in a cycle of poverty in which I've been trying to get myself out of for the last 31 years. Getting promoted would help me have some financial security and not have to rely on a partner. Or, maybe I'll be able to have a child one day. That's all. Really doesn't go deeper than that.
Should pursue. And also when. Why and when, I think, are two really important places to start. So first I would say why. Why get promoted? Because in anything that you're doing, and I mean anything and everything, you should aim for evolution. If you don't agree with that, I'm not sure how you're hanging out with me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, because I talk about it so often, I feel like even if you don't want to think the same way and you're hanging out with me enough, you're going to absorb that through osmosis. I think that we are, as human beings, here to consistently and constantly be reaching for a better version of ourselves. So that means, how do I be a better mama? How do I be a better friend?
I disagree, because then you're always in a state of lack, which is the total opposite of what you're supposed to be in when you're doing law of attraction, which I totally believe in. Blah, blah, blah. Rachel allegedly believes in the law of attraction, yet she gives advice like this, where she's like, I always want to be a better mom. I want to be a better wife. I want to be a better, more highly paid employee. It's like, okay, well, that's a lack mentality, that you're never good enough. So therefore, the universe is going to reward you with more lack. So here I am teaching the law of attraction rules to Rachel. She just, comes up with a concept, goes, I believe in this totally, and then doesn't actually follow through with any of it at all, so it seems. So I don't believe in the law of attraction, but that's the rules of the laws. So the fact that she's always growing, always trying to grow would mean that she's always striving for more, which means she doesn't have enough now, which means she doesn't have the abundance mindset. So guess who's a little scarcity is Rachel, not people who are satisfied where they're at. So again, contradictory advice. I'm so confused.
Be a better son, brother, daughter, husband, whatever it is that you are pursuing, whatever matters to you. And honestly, you could be aiming to, be a a great horseback rider, a great tap dancer, a great sumo wrestler, a great teacher, preacher, butcher, baker, candlestick maker. It does not matter what it is. It's what matters to you. And anything that you're doing, I believe we should bring our best. And our best isn't always the same based on where we are in life. There are seasons of life where maybe mental health is something that you're working on for yourself, or maybe you have a new baby, or maybe you just got married. Maybe you have something going on in your personal life where the best that you're bringing isn't necessarily in the workplace. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the times in life that I think that we aim for promotion in our career is when we're wanting to level up. We're wanting to level up because we want more responsibility. Maybe we're feeling a little bored with the work that we're doing and we sort of want to take on more. Maybe there are different things that can happen within our industry or our company that would sort of bring our heart more alive and make us feel more whole. Also, we want to get promoted because we want to make more money. We want to have better perks. We want to take better care of ourselves, our family, our community. And you have to remember, I know money can be sort of a touchy subject for people, and they feel like, oh, but I'm so blessed. And, I don't know if I should want to pursue making more money. And I always just think of that old saying, like, the mission requires money. The mission requires money.
What old saying? What old saying? The mission requires money? Like, you mean like a cult or something? Or like, where's that? I need to know the source of this, because that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. I would like to know your interpretation, Rachel, please.
Whatever we're here to do, the way that we want to impact people, the way we want to, in my case, I support my family, and probably you do too.
Is that a dig at Dave that she supports the family, not Dave? I mean, girl boss, I support. I don't think he's working very hard, or he's not really working. Maybe he's got some stock options that he's, taking his funds from, his, dividends, perhaps, are paying for his bills, but that's still support too. So I just think she likes to just drive in that little, that little screwdriver into Dave any chance she's got, like, I support the family. Cool. Good for you. That's awesome. But, also weird because we all know all the details of your whole life. So kind of embarrassing for Dave, I guess, or at least like not to split the responsibility. But who knows if she's even telling the truth? I don't know. I have doubts how much money she's making these days too.
Maybe you give back to your church. Maybe there are nonprofits that you donate to. Maybe you help take care of other family members. However you give back, however you contribute, that requires money. It doesn't mean that you can't contribute if you don't have money, but it really does help. It helps in a lot of ways. It makes it easier for a lot of people to live. Like, with the money that I've made in my career over the course of my life, I've been able to do amazing things. Bought my grandparents a home, paid off their home, and I've helped siblings, and I've helped parents, and I've helped all sorts of people. I was able to step up and do that when they needed it. And that's because I've
paid for their home, so now I can constantly ridicule them and talk about how horrible my childhood was till the end of time. That's our exchange. Also, I just finished reading Didn't See That Coming, and there's a lot of hatred for the family. Like, my parents I don't like my parents, my sister did this, my other sister did this, my brother did this. Like, it's a lot of family issues. And, I'm someone who has family issues. However, I don't think I'm in a place to give advice about this is what you should do with your family. It's like, it's coming to me, it sounds like it's coming from a place of unhealed trauma or unhealed anger or something. And she's just putting it out on the page to basically embarrass them. I don't know. That's how it comes across to me in that book, at least.
Dude, making money as a part of my life. I think that for me, that comes from growing up without having any, and probably also from that mindset I told you guys about at the beginning of our conversation. At 11 years old, I was like, I knew, for better or worse, I would raise my kids so differently. I do raise my kids so differently now. But for better or worse, I knew that I was different. I knew that I was getting teased or picked on at school because of how I dressed, because of how I looked, because there were sort of in my school the haves and the have-nots, and I was definitely a have-not, and I didn't want that. And so I started working really.
It's so interesting that that's her solution. Like, her solution, as someone who claims to be like positivity queen, her solution to bullying in school and dealing with that, issue is just to make money so that people don't make fun of you anymore. How about the people who made fun of you? We should maybe think about where they're coming from and how they got to that place where they're so judgmental of others who don't make money. The capitalistic, messages we receive as a whole about, people who have wealth and people who don't, and why we look down at them as a society, and why we're all trying to strive to be at the top of the pyramid, even though we know there's no room up there and it'll never happen most likely. No, instead of looking at that from a societal point of view, or, a point of view of what can we do to stop feeling like this? No, just focus on making more money so that in the future, your kids won't be ridiculed like you were. I just don't find it to be like the healthiest way forward or the best way to look at that, especially as a guru. It just seems like the simplest solution. Like, rip other people off by getting more money from them so that you don't have to feel like you don't have enough stuff. Just buy more stuff. That's the solution. It's like, that's a very shallow solution, in my opinion.
Young, and I think that's why I still pursue it today. So I just want to encourage you that a lot of really great things can come from getting promoted, and it's worth pursuing if this is a season in your life where that makes sense.
I don't think anyone needs this pep talk of like why money's important. Yeah, we know money's important. I would love to make more. I would love to make more and not kill myself for it, or give up all of my free time for it, or do a job I don't love. Yeah, that would be ideal, but that's not the world we live in. So we got to figure out a way to do it, with those parameters. I don't think anyone thinks like, I don't need money. Only people who don't need money are people who have money.
There are also seasons where I think it doesn't make sense to get promoted. If you are, like I said, let's say that you're a brand new mom and you're trying to figure out how to do that. You're a brand new dad, or maybe you're in a new relationship, or maybe you're caring for an aging parent. Maybe there's something going on in your personal life that really is taking a lot of extra energy and effort for you. Don't buy into the myth that we should always be pursuing the promotion, the money, the new title, the whatever.
You're the one who literally came up with that. If we're not growing, we're dying. That's your quote, Rachel, or at least your idea that you've pushed onto other people. Whether it's a quote that she stole from someone else, probably is true, but that's coming from you. It's not like, oh, they say. It's like, no, you say that. Don't buy into the myth that you have to continue to grow. It's like, you just said that 5 seconds ago too. It's so confusing.
Not be a season where you can take on both, and it might just deplete your cup completely to pursue something like that if it's not the right season. But if it is, if you say, yes, Sister Rachel, we are here for this. It is time for me. I do want a promotion. I do want fill in the blank. Then
is it fair to say like, oh, I'm taking care of a sick, relative, I shouldn't get promoted because I'm focused on that as well? Like, that seems a little unfair and probably illegal in some way. Like, if you're doing your job and you are able to handle the tasks required of the promotional job, there should be no consideration of like, oh, well, she's, pregnant, so we can't give it to her. Or, oh, she's taking care of her dying mother. We should like keep her down and promote this dude who's single and, doesn't have a care in the world. That's not fair. And that's not a good way to look at the workplace either, in my opinion.
I want to talk about is when. When is it appropriate? Not for you. When is it appropriate for the company to consider a promotion? This feels really important to me because in the last probably 5 or 6 years, I've had a lot of team members at my company who were younger. So lots of people who have recently graduated college. We have an internship program. So we've had people who were in college, but just younger in their career and maybe didn't have a lot of information. And I found that there was often frustration both in the employee and in their manager when there was a miscommunication about when a promotion happens. So I'll tell you from my perspective when promotions happen. And what's most important for you to understand is this will be different based on the company you work for, the industry that you're inside of, and who your manager is. I tend to consider promotions in two situations. One, every employee that's been with me for, like, basically I look at it a year at a time. So if you have been with me for a year, or if
Basically, I've come up with this brand new concept. It's called annual reviews. And basically what I've done with this like revolutionary idea that I came up with, me, Rachel Hollis, the only hippie, every year, so about like 365 days, like approximately, I've calculated it because like the moon god, the sun goddess, you know, it comes down at certain times of the year. It's very complicated stuff. You can read it in my book. Anyways, yeah, so I look at every employee and like their goals and like what they've achieved in the year, and then I give raises appropriately. It's like really crazy, you guys. I can't believe no one's talking about this. Okay, Rach, thanks.
Say we're passing your 3-year mark, that sort of annual, like end of the year, we're looking at where you're at, we're looking at your 12-month cycle, and just kind of asking questions. How's this person doing? Where are they going? You know, have they elevated? Have they grown? So we're considering promotions and raises on an annual basis. The second time that promotions have happened are in really unique circumstances where a huge opportunity has presented itself and someone who maybe has only been in their current role for 7 months jumps to something new. You know, someone was hired to do graphic design, and then all of a sudden we had a project where we were building a website and this person had UX, UI, skill set, and they raised their hand and said, hey guys, don't hire this out of house. I actually know how to do this. In that instance, they're jumping a level. And even though it hadn't been a year, it would be appropriate to consider a promotion for them. Also, it's worth saying that at least for me, it is not time to consider a promotion if you haven't done either one of those things, but maybe responsibilities have changed. So this feels important, and I want you to hear me say this with love in my heart, y'all, is I sort of think of it as a certain level of bandwidth that every teammate is capable of taking on. At my company, this definitely wasn't true pre-COVID, but post-COVID, we all kind of function with like a 4-hour work week mentality. That is sort of my motto.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's because she's got no employees left, so she has no choice but to just hire people. Probably, I don't know if she's got full-time people. I doubt it. I tend to doubt it at this point. Like, I think whoever said that about the 1099s is probably right, that they're just contract workers because it's cheaper. There's less overhead with them. You don't have to pay insurance. You just freelance, and I do that. That's what I do. I don't have a full-time job. I work freelance full-time hours, but it's less responsibility on the employer. They don't have to have, the relationship can end at any time. It's a lot more freedom for both the employee and the employer. And it's cheaper usually than hiring someone full-time. It's usually more of a commitment for the company. So I don't think she's at that point now. So she probably doesn't have employees. So this is all, I think her reasoning is flawed because she doesn't even have these employees to actually test this out on.
The motto of my team is you have an amount of work that you need to get done in a week. As your manager, as the boss, as the owner of the company, I could not care less when that happens. As long as it's done when it's supposed to be done. If you want to do that from, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and have the rest of the day to go lay by a pool, I don't care. As long as you're available, if I can get a hold of you, if I need you, I really don't care. I know I'm not like most managers, maybe don't think that way, but
am I the only manager who thinks that they can get their work done without being micromanaged? Am I the only hands-off boss in the whole world? Probably, Rachel. Probably.
I'm really looking at output. I'm not looking at the amount of hours that you are working on something. So the reason I mention this is we've had situations in the past where let's say someone was doing, they're working on this project, and then that project kind of went away, and they changed gears and started working on this project over here. They're working on project A. Now they're working on project B. They're not doing project A anymore. And project B is the same kind of work. That's not, in my case, just because you changed what you were focusing on, that's not a change in job.
But what if they believed in themselves? What if they had big, audacious dreams that they wanted to pursue? They wanted to be promoted. Sorry, not sorry for having a dream of being promoted. Oh no, you have to be there for a year or take on more responsibility or do a job that's very different than your current job in order to be considered for a raise. Oh, okay, Rachel, that seems very dream soul crushing to me. For someone who believes in women can do anything that they set their mind to, except for get a raise, apparently.
And this has happened a lot with younger employees. So people who are maybe just out of college, well, they'll go, oh, well, I'm working on different projects, so that means I'm doing different work. So that means even though I've been here for 3 months, I need a title change and a promotion. And that's not how it works. Unless
it could work if you're going to quit and that person's valuable to you. And if you're smart and you want to keep that person, not lose them to another company that's going to pay them more because they're hitting up their LinkedIn every 5 seconds trying to recruit them because this is a tough market to get good people in. Yeah, Rachel, that is how it works. It's 2022, girl. People don't stay at companies for 20 years. First of all, half your staff, most likely, I believe, from what I can see, got laid off. So there's already, and if you go on Glassdoor, there's like a lot of bad reviews about the company and the CEO and how she treats people and, would promote her friends first and stuff. So you don't have a good reputation. You need those employees just as much as they need you. Times are changing, babe.
The level of work that you're doing has changed, or you're working in a complete different category or something along those lines. To me, that's not the time for a promotion. So yeah, so it's got to have been a year. It's got to have been a change in what you were working on, and it's not something. I mean, y'all would be shocked. I love. I've been so blessed to work with the most amazing people, but I think you'd be shocked how often very young teammates will literally be in a job for like 4 months and be like, "When I would like to be a manager now," and like, "You are an assistant." Like, it's time for me to be a manager. And I'm like, well, okay.
She's such a bitch. Oh my God. Can you imagine like someone saying like, hey, I started this job. The requirements were this, this, and this. I have done more than that. I feel like I'm pulling my weight completely. I think based on my evaluation now of where I'm at and what my manager is accomplishing on a daily basis, I believe I deserve a promotion. And also she says like, and she's going to laugh at you. And also she says like, 4-hour work week. I care about output. I don't care about hours. Okay, but you care about years. So if you don't care about the week to week hourly count, why do you care about year to year? Aren't those very similar? Like if your output is so much higher than someone else's and you look at their salary because they shared it with you and you go, okay, they're making 40,000. I'm only making 28. I do more work than that person, or we do the same amount of work. It's unfair. I want a promotion to be on the same level. I don't understand where the laughter comes from. Like, oh, it's almost as if she doesn't even, like, the things that she hates, like, people told me that I should stay in my lane. People told me that, I couldn't do it because I didn't have experience. Well, I showed them. As soon as she gets into a boss role, she's like, you don't have experience. You don't have the credentials. You've only been here a year. You're an assistant. You can't be a manager. She's doing all the things that she said the society, the world told her as a woman that she couldn't do. So as soon as she gets in power, she's going to now tell other women that. Cool. Good job. I'm glad that power does not corrupt. Proving that point very clearly home.
And I say this because there's always this like disappointment. Like they ask and then we have to explain to them. And then there's, then they feel sort of one, disappointed, and two, maybe a little embarrassed that they kind of got it wrong. So I'm hoping that this helps you. And
this is against her entire moral beliefs, I thought. Like, she was all for, like, taking risks and doing things that people thought you weren't capable of, but you're capable because you can do anything. You can do anything, girly girl. Okay, but don't ask for a promotion if you're under a year and haven't changed roles 25 times. Like, then you should be embarrassed that you got it wrong. This is very odd advice. I think it's how she really thinks, and I believe it's how she treated her employees, but it's very different than the advice she gives to her, devoted followers, her Rachies. Very different advice.
Honestly, your manager may be very different to me. They may have, and probably do, have very different expectations. So one of the most important things you can do is understand what the expectation is, which brings me to the first piece of advice I have in how to get promoted comes under the banner of contribution. And probably the most important question that you can ask when you are trying to get promoted is who can promote you? Meaning, who are you reporting to? Is it the manager who decides your promotion? Is it the business owner that decides?
How are we supposed to know that as employees? Isn't the managerial structure in charge of that? Like, don't you bring it up to your manager and then your manager brings it up to their in charge person? How am I supposed to know that the hierarchy of and who cares? Like, I don't know. I guess this is like, don't go above the head of who's in charge. But that, again, is just like office politics when it doesn't really need to be. If it's such a small office, she had 60 employees at the top of her, the highest level of achievement. So 60 employees, you got to stay so structured in the place. Like, you can't go and talk to the CEO, who's Rachel. You can't go talk to Dave and say like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. You must go to your immediate superior. Why? That's only put in place if like there's like issues, I think. I don't know. It just seems like a very rigid perspective. And for what?
Promotion. Almost every company that you're going to work inside of is going to have some politics, meaning they're going to have kind of the rules and regulations about how you are allowed to do things. These are kind of unspoken rules and sometimes spoken rules, but
not at every place. No, I've worked in small companies where it's very loose and there needs to be maybe a little bit more structure, but it's not every company, for sure not. The bigger you get, the more structure there is, but you had a small company, so it was up to you to choose the rules. You chose to be a stuck-up bitch, apparently. Oopsies. That was mean.
That wasn't nice.
That wasn't nice. Sorry, I didn't mean it. I mean, I did mean it, but I would hate her as a boss. I can already tell.
Pretty consistently, I would say that across the board, it wouldn't be appropriate for you to go around your manager and speak to their manager or speak to the business owner. And in fact, you probably would end up frustrating your manager unless there's like an HR issue and they're crazy and you need to tell your boss's boss what's going on. Totally fair. But if that's not the case, you do have to play a little bit of a politic game in terms of how to get promoted.
Why?
And again, maybe it's different at your company and maybe it's not the way it should be, but this is the way that I know business to be. And, I always tell
this is what I created. This is the toxic culture I created in my business. So let's just perpetuate the issues in corporate America, okay? I now have the power and I'm going to keep things exactly the same. I'm going to not evolve because I'm going to not take my other advice that I gave to everyone else 5 seconds ago.
Kids like in school, when they would complain about like, well, the teacher has this rule that we have to do this thing and I don't like the rule and it doesn't make sense. Like, why do we have to do it this way? I always say that classroom is your teacher's kingdom. I want you to imagine that your teacher is the queen of that kingdom. And that queen requires you to write down your answers using a pencil and paper. And then like in the next period, that king in his kingdom, he wants you to do it only on a computer. I'm making this up. And maybe you're frustrated because they have different rules and you feel like everybody should allow me to put it on a computer and it shouldn't matter. But while you're in her kingdom, you have to play by her rules.
Why?
It's her kingdom, her rules. And I think it's the same.
Okay, so that's your philosophy on business. My company, my rules. That's a really good recruitment tactic. Yeah, here at Hollis Company, we only abide by my dictatorship, my whims, my emotional moods, my unbalanced hormones. They dictate everything that I feel, and I have ultimate say. So you might think that this job is arbitrary, or I'll have you redo a project 17 times because I just didn't like the sparkly colors that you selected, and for no reason other than just to piss you off and make you feel like you're inferior to me. This is the type of environment that I've created here at Hollis Company, where we love empowering women as long as that woman is only me, Rachel Hollis. Bye. Love you. Rooting for you. Unless you're trying to ask me for a promotion, then fuck off. See, this is the hypocrisy. Like, if she truly was a positive person and was like, her reputation was known as being supportive and she was a good boss and she promoted people and she wanted an environment to be positive, it's the fake performative positivity. Like, we have a dance party every morning because your grandma died over the weekend. Well, too bad. Get on the Beyonce and start dancing in the office because this is what the performative, people want for us. And this is what we're going to post on Instagram to show people we have the best company ever. It's like, yikes. I didn't want to work there before. I don't want to work here for sure now. And I think they're going to have a hard time recruiting anybody if they actually did have employees again, which I doubt. But jeez. This is bleak.
For businesses, their kingdom, their rules. So instead of feeling frustrated by the rules, learn to work with them. Learn to use them to your advantage. Learn how you can sort of, get through the system until you get into a place where you get to be the one who makes the rules. Maybe you make the rules because you become the manager. Maybe you make the rules because you start your own company. Maybe you think this is not the way this should be done and I'm going to do it. Great. Start a company, start a nonprofit, change the rules.
If you don't like it here, you can get out and start your own Rach Talk company. You can start your own Hollis company. Okay, cool. That's good. That's the best way to handle it. If you don't like the rules, get out. That's mature. That's a good way to handle that. Yeah, I'm on board.
But until then, learn to play by them so that you can be taken care of. So know who your manager is. Know who can promote you, because I think people get this wrong. I know people get this wrong because it happens all the time. Oh my gosh, especially when we had a bigger company, we had 60 employees pre-COVID, this would happen all the time. You would have people.
It didn't. She keeps saying pre-COVID. COVID had nothing to do, in my opinion, with her layoffs and her downfall of the company. She will pin her hat that, it was COVID. However, in an interview that I recently saw, she said that her Rach Talk, or no, not Rach Talk, her Rise weekend live that was only recorded before she was canceled did better and made more profit than any of her live events like combined or something insane like that. So the fact that she's saying like, COVID and it was live events and of course it was like, we were in a place where we were doing live events and yeah, of course I had to let everyone go. No, that's all bullshit because she said that she actually made more money. So I believe it's because she got canceled and people were not interested in her anymore. That's why everyone had to go bye-bye because there was no customers left. Even when she cooled down after the divorce, a lot of people left. After Toiletgate, a lot more people left. And then there was nothing that she was offering that was better or an apology that was even, minutely acceptable. So that's the reason. But she will not come to terms with that. It's going to be COVID, because that's just the easy way out.
Who are doing like their very best. They were putting so much effort into it, and then they would sort of present it in a meeting and it would be so wrong because they were turning in work that they thought was the way it was supposed to go instead of asking, what does my manager need? What does my committee need? What does my group need? So they were doing what they wanted to do instead of what other people needed. And that, I think, is the biggest key. I was talking to one of the gals on my team about this a couple months.
Gal, get a new job would be my self-help book to all former Hollis Company employees.
She had, we were sort of working on booking guests in for the podcast. And she was like, and this.
Oh God, this part. Okay, let me go back for a second. So now she's going to specifically call out an employee that probably can identify themselves by listening to her content.
And that, I think, is the biggest key. I was talking to one of the gals on my team about this a couple months ago. She had, we were sort of working on booking guests in for the podcast, and she was like, and this and this and this. And we were going through things, and I said, this is amazing. She and I worked together for several years, but never this closely. I said, this is amazing, but here's the interesting thing. You're not trying to figure out how to produce a podcast, or you're not trying to figure out how to book guests on a podcast. You are figuring out how to book guests on my podcast. You are figuring out how to produce an episode of my podcast. And so what's more important here is that I understand what you're doing, not that you have it done in a way that makes sense. So for instance,
Make it nonsensical because it's me. Okay, so what I like for my podcast is to have ramblings that do not follow any cohesive order. Can you, instead of writing a list and putting it into Word doc with like highlights and different things to help me understand and organize my thoughts, can you just actually scramble it all up and make sure that it really doesn't follow any sort of pattern, that, we don't know any dates. We don't actually want to like promote anything with any knowledge. We want to just act like we don't know what's going on in this company. And that's the best way that I have found as the dictator of Hollis Company to run my business. And you've only been here for several years. Yeah, you better wait one more till I look at this and evaluate it to see if you're worth a small raise, because I just don't think that you are, because you would have started your own company if you really cared about your self-worth. So this is my business. Like, yay, nightmare. This is Boszilla times 100.
I'm a visual learner. I need to see stuff. If you,
Okay. Listen to this part. She's going to say, I'm a visual learner, right? She makes it very clear. I'm a visual learner. This idiot who is booking me guests on my podcast doesn't know this about the Rachel Hollis, but I'm a visual learner. Okay, keep that in mind. And then like 5 minutes later, we're going to hear something that totally contradicts that entire sentence. So let me go back just to 15 more seconds.
More important here is that I understand what you're doing, not that you have it done in a way that makes sense. So for instance, I am a visual learner. I need to see stuff. If you, just thinking about it, did you see, it took my breath away. When someone like comes at me and they're like, hey, I need this, and then this person's coming over and it's 2:00 on Wednesday, and then you need to, and they have like a whole list and they're just verbally like word vomiting at me, I get my brain melts. I need to see it. I need you to talk me through it, and I need to see it. So what I was trying to explain to her was like, you have to, as the person that you're trying to do this for, you need to do it in a way that makes sense to me, not just to you. And I saw this light bulb. She was like, oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, obviously that makes a ton of sense. But you'd be surprised. So the reason I tell you that story is I'm wondering, do you know what your manager needs? Do you know?
As a manager, do you correctly communicate what you're looking for? Do you put the recommended or required outcomes, deliverables? Is that in a clear, concise way to your employees? Are you able to distribute that in a timely fashion? Are you able to communicate effectively what you're looking for so that the employee doesn't just do something that you're unhappy with? How about you put a little bit of onus on the manager, not the lowly employee that you laugh at, the coffee bitches of your company? How about that? That would save everyone a lot of time, probably.
Your boss wants. Do you know what your leader would prefer and what they think is promotion worthy? I have had, 100, no, not that many. Let's say 50 employees in my 20 years have asked for a promotion or a raise. Do you know how many of them, before they asked for a promotion or raise, ever once said to me, Rach, I really want to level up. I really want more responsibility. I want to be making 6 figures 4 months from now. Can you tell me what results you need to see from me in order to make that happen? Y'all,
I thought we weren't supposed to go to the boss. I thought we were supposed to only speak to our manager. And maybe the manager is not moving the ball because they don't want to disturb you because they're afraid that they're going to get their head ripped off by bringing up like, hey, Chelsea wants a promotion. I'm busy. This is my podcast. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's the culture was in Hollis Co. So someone coming to Rach, you know, asking for, hey, I want a promotion, that might not be the first time that person thought of it. Maybe they did try to work the other channels. And so she's saying, like, no one asked me how they could improve to be better. Maybe they think that they deserve more money for what they're already doing and that they don't think that they need to go above and beyond even further to make that newer amount, perhaps.
Never happened in my entire career as an entrepreneur. I have never had someone come to me and say, hey, I'm a year and a half in, 6 months into this new role, feel like I'm doing a great job. When we get to the annual review come December, I am hoping to be promoted. I want to be promoted to vice president. I'm hoping to be making this salary. Tell me what I need to do to get to that place. Y'all, I would have a list. I am the queen of like, if you are producing for me, if you're working on my team and you're killing it, you should be rewarded for that. Absolutely 100%. Like, I want to pay you at the top of what you can make.
But only if you've been there for a year and if only you came in with different expectations than when you were hired.
I also want to reward you for a job well done. And I'm the queen of like, oh, you want to know what you can do? I will tell you what you can do. I will tell you exactly what you can do. If I was able to see this result.
But again, like 2 minutes ago, you said, don't talk to me. Don't talk to the owners about what you need. Make sure that you're managed so there's a hierarchy in place. Okay, so now you're saying just go and ask you outright what you need to do. Just seems like counterintuitive. Why don't you just make it so that there's defined roles, defined salaries, so we don't have to play these politics that you apparently love to play? It's all a culture thing.
Would be worth a 6-figure salary to me.
Yeah, and then I agree. Jobs, like she says, like, oh well, you know, that person's embarrassed now because they got it wrong because they asked for a raise way too soon. Okay, so but then we're not supposed to ask that because it's embarrassing, but then we need to know like what we need to do to get a raise. It just seems like this is just like someone playing business. Like, oh, I'm gonna play, you know, reality show business game. I'm gonna be the boss and you can be the minions, and let's just, you guys ask me what you think I want. It's like, just, this doesn't seem very productive. There's so many better ways to do this.
All day long. Because as a business owner, and I want you guys to get this, as a business owner, I know that that person producing that result raises the revenue of my business. So if I can see the revenue of my business raise by 3.5%, that will more than cover the raise in her salary. I think you have to think like a business owner. It's like, it's not just what's a good job to you. Here's another one. And
well, yes and no. Yes, like that would be wonderful. Obviously, that would be the easiest way to give everyone a raise. Like, oh, this person's job, you know, clearly from A to B, them coming on board, they've produced, you know, $1 million worth of revenue. I can clearly see that because they are responsible for the Google Ads words. Okay, fine. But most jobs are much more our gray area. Like as a video editor, you know, yes, my job helps the bottom line, but how do I prove that with the numbers? Like, oh, well, we made this much revenue from Rach Talk. Okay, but part of that is Rachel, part of that is the marketing, part of that is the, you know, video crew that's shooting the video, and then a part of that, a percentage of that is the video editing. How do I quantify that to then present this in a form and say, look at the numbers? Like it's always very much like arbitrary. That's why these negotiations and stuff annoy me a lot, because they are so like, I'm worth 106,000 compared to 107,000 versus 45,000. Like, it's all very much like, it's hard to quantify and it's hard to explain to somebody, or even especially like if you're a video editor, you don't see the numbers. You're not seeing the revenue, numbers coming out. You're not the accountant. You're not seeing how well necessarily your contribution is doing. You're assuming it's doing well because you're still working there and not fired. But how am I supposed to go, I've increased the bottom line by 3.5%. You're just not going to know that most likely, especially at these lower levels. So this is like best case scenario advice. You're the CEO and the company, you're leaving Nike to go to Adidas, and you can show like, well, since I came on board, I brought my shareholders 25% more, blah, blah, blah. That's a very high level argument. For these lower level jobs, it is about how do I feel like I fit in? How do I contribute to the team overall? Is my attitude, positive as she would want it? And do I, show up every time and I'm not late and whatever? Those are things that like you can't really say, well, not showing up late, that's worth 15 cents every day times it's pointless.
I did just tell you guys I'm a visual learner, but I'm visual with the tasks that you need me to do. One of the things, I'm going to sound like a jerk. I'm going to sound like a jerk. I know it, but this is again, if I was your manager, someone else would have a totally different thought process.
So what's the point?
I hate a deck. Do you know what a deck
You're no
is?
one's
Like a
manager.
PowerPoint presentation or a slideshow. When someone's like, I'm like, hey, can you pull together some ideas for blah, blah, blah? And then they come back to me with a 22-page deck. Beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous deck. As the business owner, all I can think is, how many hours did you work on putting together a deck that was a 15-minute conversation we could have had? You could have showed me 4 bullets.
But it's like, I listened to your podcast where you said, I don't want someone coming up to me and telling me 10 things that they could have just written down in a visual way for me to learn. So I spent 17 hours making this deck for you, the visual learner, the only hippie, Rachel Hollis, to make. And it's like, okay, but I don't want that. That's too much. Okay, so she's like the Goldilocks of girl bossing. Not too many slides, but not too little slides. I need something in the middle, and I don't know what I'm going to feel like on that day. And, I can just arbitrarily pick whatever I feel like, and there's no rules, and you can talk to me and tell me what you want. But also, talk to your manager, and also, like, don't quit, and also, you're going to get laid off. It's like, what do you call it? It's like Lord of the Flies. Like, just fend for yourself. Like, just, stab other people in the back and just try to get the most resources because there's no rules. All society is gone. You better just hack your way up the mountain and get in Rachel's ear. That's what it seems like. There's no, okay, this is the way things work here. We want to make sure everyone's, equitable. No, just stab each other in the back and see who comes out on top. Survival of the fittest. That's what I'm hearing from this podcast.
It's just a Word doc, and we could have talked about it. But you spent 2 weeks putting together a slideshow, which, yes, is beautiful. And I also understand if you have to present, it makes you feel a bit more grounded in the presentation because you're attached to, you have the slides you can go through. But again, who are you talking to? There are definitely managers that would love that and would feel really impressed. If you're pitching to a client or something along those lines, if you need to show creative, yes, bring the deck, bring that energy. But for me, if I've asked you to do something and you bust out a deck, not only do I feel like you wasted your time, but I'm gonna be honest. I told you I was just gonna be real with you guys. I don't want to sit through a deck presentation. I don't have time, guys. And if I'm not working.
You said you have a 4-hour work week. You have 40 in a traditional workplace. How about you add 5-hour work week, and then you'll have time to listen to this poor employee's visual deck that you said you wanted, but then changed your mind about. Oh my God. I don't have time. But I don't care about time. But I also only will recognize you if you've been with me 1 year. Just, again, contradiction on top of a contradiction.
I want to be hanging out with my kids. Seriously, I am not trying to work all day, 70 hours. I'm not trying to do that. And I hate a meeting that's about a meeting about the meeting. I don't want to waste time.
Who is in charge of the culture of the company? You, Rachel. The buck stops with you. If you don't want to have meetings, make it a policy. No meetings. At Hollis Co, we don't have meetings. Everything's done through email. Everything's done through Slack. Why are you complaining about the structure of the company? You are the one in charge. Change it. Change the culture then.
Not only did you waste your time, but now I feel like everybody in this meeting is just like, oh my God, please finish. Please finish. Just like get to the end of this. And then I feel like I'm actively trying not to rush the person because I get it. That's what I want to say. Like, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. We don't need to go through 10 more slides. I know that sounds like a jerk. And if you're like, Rachel's a jerk. Okay. But every single manager or leader that you work with is going to have their version of that pet peeve. And you have to know what it is.
Her version of a pet peeve is people working. I hate it. I don't want to deal with anyone working. I just want the constant praise and affection from the public. I don't want to actually work here. I want to work from home. I don't want to be here. Don't talk to me. Don't make me a slide. Don't tell me anything. Do it the way I want, but just predict what I want from just, osmosisly deciding what you think I'll want. Because if I actually tell you, then it'll be off. So that makes sense. It's like the unpleasable boss, the one that like no matter what you do, no matter how many successes you have, there's always something like, oh, your slides were too long. And I'm going to speak for everyone in this meeting that no one wants to hear it. Maybe you're the only one that doesn't want to hear it, Rachel, because you think you have the answers for everything. So someone else having answers or solutions is just not acceptable to you because you live in an alternate reality.
Listening to the podcast that's like how to start a business. If you want to hear that one, happy to share it with you. You're not listening to the podcast that's like how to raise the revenue in your side hustle. You're listening to the how to get promoted. Getting promoted at your job doesn't happen in a silo. It happens in connection with someone else, and the connection to someone else is whoever's giving you the promotion. So you have to know how to show up in a way that they like their team to work.
But why don't you just create the culture? Once again, make the rules. Rule number 1, as opposed to the rules in her company were like, we choose joy. Okay, obviously you don't. You choose annoyance. You choose, putting people down, making them feel embarrassed for asking for a raise, as opposed to coming to an understanding of going, okay, we're not there, or, this is the rules that you signed when you came on board, that you would not be considered for anything unless X, Y, and Z happen. She acts like she's stuck at this company that she doesn't like, or she's just the manager of this, like Coca-Cola or something, like as if she doesn't have full control to change all of these things that she claims she doesn't agree with. I'm just confused.
Know who can promote you. Number 2, understand what I'm going to call the poker chip principle. It's not a real principle. Nobody calls it that. Years ago, someone told me this story. She said, when you start out in business and you're new to a job or you're new to a company, imagine that on the first day you're there, someone hands you one poker chip. You just get one. And the longer you're there, the more poker chips you get. When you go to a meeting or when you go to a sort of a group activity, not like a fun activity, but when you're doing a group thing, you're at the staff meeting, or you're in a presentation and you're in the room with people who are higher levels than you are in the company. Remember that you have one poker chip, and that one poker chip represents your ability to say one smart thing. Now, remember, you're a newbie.
What?
Let's say you just graduated college. You've been here, 2 weeks. You got one poker chip.
You get one. Okay, so hold on. Let me understand this. So when you start, you're new. So only if you're new and young. Okay, what does young mean? But all right, so let's pretend you're out of college. You're coming to the company. You're given a poker chip, one opportunity to speak. Why? Why is that the case? Why can't you feel free to speak the whole time? Because you're young, you're not able to give your opinion? Why is that the culture? Yeah, older people just know better? No, they're probably more stuck in their ways, especially for a new media company dealing with social media. And I think probably a young person would be like, yo, Quibi ain't gonna be popular. I could have called that forever ago. Oh yeah, we really need a platform that's, just as short as Instagram, but highly edited and charge people money to watch it. Yeah, okay, any young person's gonna tell you hell no, I ain't doing that. That ain't gonna work. But apparently Dave and Rachel believed in it, so much so that they spent like many, many hours of time dedicated to producing the show. Maybe you should have listened a little bit better, Rach. You wouldn't be in the situation you're in now. Damn, burned.
So if you're in a big meeting, number one, make sure that you only contribute if you are adding value to the conversation. That's number one. Because we have all been in those meetings where someone is only talking just so that you remember that they're there, which is the worst. Or better yet, when you just repeat what other people said, but you're saying it your way and sort of getting credit for the things that other people said. Like, you know, this happens a lot with dudes in meeting where they'll be like, you know, Sheila will say something and they'll be like, oh, and also mansplain everything Sheila just said. And what typically happens is the people in the room are like, oh, David, that was so amazing. Good job. When really he didn't say that. It was her words.
Okay, so I can infer from this analogy, this very fake analogy. She said David, she's referring to her husband. Guess who brought her husband on board? You, Rachel. You brought David on board. So maybe you're bad at selecting people that should be working at your company. Again, the buck stops with you. If you don't like someone that does that, get rid of them, put them in a different position, change the culture. There's all these things within your control. You just seem like you're like, oh, this is like, everyone has to play, the game. Everyone has to play the game. That's the way the world works. This is your own world. This is your kingdom, as you've called it, your queendom. So again, don't be afraid to speak up. As a woman is my advice I'll write in a book. But if you're in my conference room, you better not speak up unless you are contributing and adding value. And I'm going to be the one deciding that. And if you think adding value is making a 22 slide deck that's really informative, then you're wrong, because I have decided for no reason whatsoever that is not valuable and everyone's bored. I could not keep up with the rules. This is like dealing with someone who, no matter what, and you can call me negative all day. This is someone who has a very negative attitude, really. Like, you try this way, you try that way, you do this, you do that, and no matter what they say they want, they're never satisfied. To me, that's a negative person. And that's what Rachel's describing as herself, as the queen of this establishment.
So don't be that person. Remember that you want to add value, and remember that you have one poker chip, and remember that it's okay to say nothing. But if you have value to add, if you have an insight, if you've got some wisdom that you can share that'll really be additive, just remember that's your one poker chip.
Why do you have one? Why can't we speak up twice? Why do I have to save it for the one time that I decide, like, okay, this is my moment. I'm going to tell her that Quibi is not going to make it. And then she's going to fire me because she's got the ultimate, brain, and she's the business guru. She went to 6 Tony Robbins conferences, so she understands business. Okay, girlfriend, fire my ass because I don't want to work here anymore. God. I'm having a job where I have a boss where I have to go in person in like 5 years. And this is stressing me out, like even thinking about going back into the workforce.
Here, she's established herself. She's a VP. She's beloved. She can talk the whole meeting if she wants to, because she's got all the poker chips. It's just a really smart way to remember to slow down and to make sure that you contribute, and to make sure that if you're in a meeting with your boss's boss, that you don't speak unless you're going to add value, and that what you say will hopefully be memorable to all the higher ups. So they take notice. They're like, oh, who's this chick? Like, what's she about? So that, and it doesn't mean that you go over.
Sounds like the higher ups. Oh, who's this chick? She's got a rack on her that, could grill a fish. Like, that's people are saying boomer mentality. It's like, that's what it sounds like, the environment she's creating, like a very old school, like, oh, this woman's wearing a dress. Interesting. Okay, let's put her in the executive suite. Like, that's how it's coming across to me. Like, there is no set plan, so it's just all up in the air. So whatever reason you want to make up that day, and you have the power, you have all the poker chips to be able to promote, hire, whatever, for arbitrary reasons, because there is no rules. It's all just like how you feel in the moment, which can lead to a lot of bad things.
Like,
happening.
Hey, hi, I'm Sheila. I do accounting, right? No, it's not that. It's, How can you consistently use your poker chip to show up in a way that adds value overall? Just bear in mind that one of the ways that you are going to get noticed, one of the ways that you are going to have people associate you with adding value to the team, adding value to the business overall, is how you're contributing. How are you showing up? How do you carry yourself? One of the notes that I wrote down is that old line that says, dress for the job you want. Don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want.
Okay, back to the 1950s. Wear a poodle skirt if you want to be taken seriously in the workplace. Wear a pantsuit in the 90s because, shoulder pads mean that you are... Wear red for power and aggression. Like, oh my God. Again, no one's forcing you to believe these things, Rachel. This is not a universal law. This is not the law of employment, the law of business. Like, oh, well, you must dress for the law number 1 says you must dress for the job you want, not the job you have. It's like that people in Silicon Valley make millions and millions and millions of dollars and wear flip-flops and t-shirts and cargo shorts. These rules do not apply unless you're like in a medical facility or at a funeral home. Yeah, I guess in those cases, or a professor, even professors wear whatever they want. There's certain places where I go, okay, yes, it matters, or, it's a professional environment or an event planning or something like that where it's like, okay, you kind of like stand out a little weird if you wear, something off crazy. But for an office space, for a media company with a supposedly like woke boss, we must wear professional. No one wants that except for you, for no reason. Just to assert your power, your dominance over people in their lives.
If you want to be the creative director, dress like the creative director. Don't dress like an assistant in the creative department.
What does that mean? What does a creative director wear? I don't know what that person would... I would be going insane. I would go literally nuts working at this company. Like, should I wear beads? Should I wear a band t-shirt? Like, what does a creative director wear? I don't know. Is there some sort of manual? Is there some sort of this is what creative directors wear wardrobe, like how-to style guide that I can buy from the Hollis company? Like, I don't know what this means. What does a creative director versus an assistant wear? Gucci? Like, am I supposed to have expensive clothes? Like Zara apparently is ruining women's rights all over the world. Should I not wear Zara? Is that what you're saying? Or what? I don't get it.
The manager of the bank. Carry yourself like the manager of the bank, even when you're a teller. Because number 1, you're keeping your eyes focused on where you want to go and who you want to be. But you're also, I promise you, getting attention and notice from the people around you and the leaders at your company. I can't overstate how big a deal it is to me what people dress like at work. I know not every industry cares about this and not every leader cares about this, but I really do.
You're not in the fashion industry. You had a clothing line at QVC. It's not quite the epitome of fashion there, Rachel. And now apparently you're all into thrifting and you won't even look at a piece of clothing that's been worn or hasn't been worn before. So to put this onto your staff, it's just going to put unnecessary pressure completely.
When we were in an office, when people work at home, I'm like, whatever, live your life. But when we're in an office or when we come together for group meetings, we had what's it called? Like a wardrobe. That's not a clothing policy. I can't remember, whatever you call it. We had a policy about the way you dress when you came to work, or now the way you dress.
If you don't even know what it's called, don't have it in your office. If you don't even know what the dress code is, what it's supposed to be called, the wardrobe policy, how about you just exit? Let people wear whatever the fuck they want to wear. It's not that serious. You work in Austin, Texas, not even more, but back in the heyday, let's pretend we're back in the heyday. This is like a fever dream also. Like this, she doesn't have this company anymore. This company does not exist. She doesn't have a building anymore. She doesn't have a team anymore. This is just her like fantasizing about the past. It's very, very weird about when she was in control of her life and her business. She has not, like, to rebuild back to that point is years down the line. It may never and probably will never happen again. So even her going down this road of like what I used to do as a boss is sort of sad and weird that she's like angry about like past lower level employees asking for raises 4 months in. Like she's still angry about it and harboring resentment about it. It's a very odd behavior.
Come to a meeting. And my line has always been that you would dress like you care, and you would dress as if you were going to brunch with your girlfriends, like that you would wear something that makes you feel good.
So do only women work here? Like you're going to go to brunch with your girlfriends? That's your wardrobe policy? There's no men that work at this company at all? That seems like a little bit sexist. Like, oh, we have women here, so, we all need to dress like we're going to brunch, which is also like, I don't go to brunch with my girlfriends, so what am I supposed to wear? Can you tell me what the actual dress code is for this weird ass company? Because this is not, again, it's like leaving so much for you to fuck up on and mess up and then give you an excuse as to why you weren't promoted. It's like, well, I told you should have worn what you wear to, brunch. It's like, well, I don't do that, so I wore these jeans. Well, I guess you don't care about your position. Like, huh? Says what? Says I do all my work. Yeah, well, you didn't dress up, though. It's like, shut up.
I don't
get
care
it.
if you're wearing an Adidas tracksuit. I don't care if you're wearing, like athleisure, cute styled with a ball cap. I don't care if you're wearing a leather jacket and motorcycle boots. I care that you put effort into what you wore to work today. I care about that.
Why?
Because
Why?
to me, that is how human beings show that they care about where they are.
Okay, so if you're poor because you are, working at a place that's minimum wage, below minimum wage, and your rent is, astronomically high, and you can only afford a certain amount of clothes or a certain type of clothing, you don't care about your job, you don't care about getting promoted. How toxic and old school and part of the problem is this mentality? The answer is completely, horribly wrong. Wrong, bad. I don't even know what to say. This is what's perpetuating this whole thing about people who don't have enough money to afford, their basic necessities, now having to go out and spend money at J. Crew to look like they're going to brunch because they finally got a job that they want to do well at and get promoted at. And now they're being pressured into this thing, which is totally just for her own enjoyment, her own sick fantasy that she's a queen and she can tell you what to do because people bullied her in middle school. It's like, this is a lot of, in my opinion, unresolved trauma coming out against people who are just trying to make a living, most likely.
Now, there are seasons, yes, when you're struggling with different things in your life, if you're going through something hard, if you're struggling with depression or anxiety, the last thing that you give a crap about is what you're wearing. You're like, congratulations, I took a shower today. I showed up, I'm here. That's not what I'm talking about. That's
So that's not what we're talking about. So what is it? So what? So if that person shows up in the workplace, how are you going to know what's going on in their personal life? You're their boss. You're not their best friend, your bestie, your sister, Rach, whatever you like to call yourself. You're rooting for you, everybody in the world persona. So if that person's depressed and shows up in a regular outfit, how is that any different than, oh, that person just chose to wear this outfit versus this outfit? It's just to pit people against each other. Now everyone's gonna be looking at each other. Oh, she's wearing a ball cap. She must not care. Oh, this person's wearing a skirt. Oh my gosh, that she's gonna get promoted ahead of me. It just creates a bad environment to work in, I would imagine.
Situation that's special. What I'm talking about is just your average Tuesday. Did you show up to this place of work like you cared to be here? I love this with people have to wear uniforms. It's like one of my favorite things. When you go to a business where someone has to wear a uniform and you can tell that they put effort in. Like nurses do this really well. Nurses they're wearing scrubs and they're like all in the same scrubs, but they'll have like great nails, gorgeous makeup, cute hair, or they'll be wearing like fun earrings.
I don't give a flying fuck if my nurse, if I'm in the hospital, has cute hair and cute nails. I want them to be able to give me the correct dosage of medication and do their job without themselves getting completely burnt out. That's my requirements as a patient at this hospital. Why do you care if someone's hair is cute by your own probably toxic standards? I'm glad she's doing this podcast because it really does clear up any ambiguity about how out of touch she is. It just clears that up. She's totally out of touch, 1,000%. There is no oh, I wonder if she really believes this. No, she does believe this because she's saying it with such confidence and such authority. it's almost shocking that this is someone allowed her, probably because she's gotten rid of everybody, that no one's left in her life that would tell her like, hey girl, this might not be the best thing to promote about your business if you're trying to hire in the future. No, she's far past that now.
There's this great place I love in Hawaii to go to brunch, and they have to wear they all wear the same shirts. And it's so cute. Like all the servers there will do really cool things. Even though they're all wearing the same shirt, they all have their own style. And to me, it's like you care about yourself, you care about your image, and you showed up in that way. So dress for the job you want, not.
Yeah, I'm sure those waiters really are glad that Rachel Hollis appreciated them, that they, had to wear their uniform or they had to wear a shirt that the company required them to. I'm sure it really is paying off in any way. All it does is just show the corporation like they're in control. I have to do what this, corporate place tells me to do, and I'm going to do it because I want a job. I want job security just like anyone else. It's just to me, again, it just plays with people's identities. It plays with oh, you think you value yourself and you wear that? You're going to wear that to fifth period, Rachel? It's just her turning her own trauma of being made fun of for going to Costco into a power trip, 20 years later. It's not good. It's unhealed behavior.
Job you have, to me, that is part of your overall contribution, because it's what is the energy that you're bringing to this space? To that end, I will also say there is nothing, literally nothing, that I care more about than the energy someone brings to the workplace, the Slack channel, the party, it is one of the gifts in my life of owning my own company is I just won't work with people who are mean, who have bad attitudes.
That's you, Rachel. You work with yourself.
Are just, what I'm talking about, super low vibration, and I'm not talking about certain seasons where we're going through hard stuff. Those people that are they're just not nice.
That's you, Rachel. That is you. You're describing yourself, dumbass. I'm sorry, Dave. Tell me off.
That wasn't nice.
I'm sorry. I'm mean. I'm so mean. I just hate when they get on this soapbox, this high horse of I just won't work with anyone negative. Yet you just spent an hour talking about I don't like people who don't dress up as their nursing job. I just look down upon them. It's you don't even know what you're saying. You're labeling yourself as positive and expect that to be good enough for people, which I guess it is. Just telling people I am positive and then not following through at all with any of your actions or behaviors. It drives me insane because people call me negative all the time. And I'm you're right, I am negative, but at least I own it and understand it. And I think, honestly, I wouldn't have any of these beliefs that she has. And I think if I was to make a work environment, it'd be a much healthier, more positive place to be. Because again, when she's talking about this dance party bullshit, it's think about if someone died in your family or you just got broken up with, and you're not going to share that with Rachel Hollis. It's not her business what's going on in my personal life. But I come to work and they say, okay, you better be dressed to go to brunch, and you need to go and pretend to Beyonce for 15 minutes while I put it on my Instagram. That's not real positivity. That's fake positivity. That's toxic positivity. That's garbage. And I think she thinks that everyone, I think what her thought process truly is that she's fake, right? She's a fake person. She'll pretend to be your friend. She'll pretend to care about you. She pretends that she likes, interacting, but she really cares about the money. So she thinks everyone goes out and shows up that way, that everyone secretly is, very selfish, and everyone's secretly in it for themselves. They don't actually want to connect to people. They actually hate their husband the whole time. They actually don't want to be moms, whatever. But they choose to present that. And her problem is, why don't you choose to repress that while you're in public, repress that while you write your book about yourself? And that's the truly, higher ground person and way to be. That's the high moral ground, is to act like you're positive. That's what your contribution to society is. Not that she is a positive person, that she shows up and pretends to be a positive person. That somehow is better for the world. And it's really not, because then she can just act like however she wants to act and treat people like shit, but then say, well, I'm positive, so you can't be mad at me. I said it. I'm the queen of positivity. No, you're not. You're not.
Or maybe they're unhappy about something and take it out on other people. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how good. I'm thinking of an employee right now that he was so really good at his job. And when he first started, we all were like, oh my gosh, this guy is the best. He's so good at this. He was killing it. And then one complaint happened and another complaint, and it was just about him being a jerk. He was just a jerk. And honestly, not my job to figure out why you're being a jerk. We talked to him. We said, hey, your attitude, it's in our company policy, and you kind of knew this was a big deal. We really care about our environment, and we really want people who are, being kind. And he was like, yeah, I got it. And then he kept doing it, and we had to let him go. Even though it was
You're
great
not
at his
being
job.
kind ever.
I remember the first day when I was filming the show for Quibi. I did this show for Quibi. I don't know if any of you saw it, but
I saw the ad for it. I never saw the show. That's another failure. Didn't go anywhere. Probably won't go anywhere. At least I haven't seen it go anywhere. And what a waste of time. What a waste of time that was. But she's the boss, so she knows best.
Day, there was someone on set who was used to sort of a Hollywood environment, and it was his job to quiet down the set. Those people are like, quiet on the set. And the very first day we were filming, he screamed at everybody, quiet on this, everybody be quiet. It was so jarring to me. And as the person who now has to be on camera, and all of a sudden I'm like back in my childhood home and daddy's screaming at me, and also I'm being silly, but you don't know who that's going to trigger. You don't know. And I really strive to create an environment where everyone feels safe and good. And so the whole first part.
Again, her words are, I create an environment where everyone feels safe and whatever and loved. And then in reality, her actions are, you better wear what I think is appropriate and shows that you care about your body and yourself, or else you're done, or else you're not going to get promoted. And if you have an attitude or you say no too many times, you're going to get fired, even though you're good at your job. That's not a safe environment. That's somewhere where you're constantly on edge. Oh, am I going to piss her off? Oh my God. Was this too many slides for this presentation that she asked for? Oh God. Dave, leave us alone. Sorry about that. I've blocked the adult dating site, quote unquote. Hopefully that's gone for a while. Yeah. Okay.
Back while we were filming, he was just and he's just trying to do his job. He's used to sort of working with tough whatever. And so he just kept yelling at people and moving them around or whatever. And lunchtime, I called the producers in and I was like, no, we are not going to have that here. We are not. That's just not a thing. You do not have to scream at people to get them to be quiet. Respect is earned. It's not something that you have to demand. It's something that can be earned. And I never, ever want to have a production set where this is sort of this toxic vibe is happening. And the producers were like, yep, we got it. Absolutely. And they talked to him at lunch. And
why couldn't she talk to him? She had talked to someone else behind his back. I mean, whatever. I'm not saying that this guy was right and she was wrong or whatever, but it just seems like she has a control freak problem. She has to be in control. So this guy is demanding control. He's demanding the room's attention, and she cannot handle that. She needs to be the center of attention. She needs to be the one controlling the pawns, the chess pieces at all times. So if someone tries to step in her place, oh, hell no. She's about to go and say, no, this is my set now. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Tell you that this man was the most lovely, kind, wonderful. I worked with them on 2 seasons of that show. He was so great. And
2 seasons?
I honestly think he just didn't even know that you could do that job and be nice, because nobody had ever asked that of him before. So energy is huge for me. And I think for me personally, it doesn't matter how good you are at a job if you're never going to get promoted, and frankly probably won't even stay on my team if you're mean. So that's an important thing to me too, is to kind of ask yourself, how do I show up? How do I show up in this space, and what's the vibe that I give off to people? And I know that that's not always easy. I know some of you work in an environment where people are toxic or where people are gossipy or where people are mean. But I think that's when we have to go back and remind ourselves that we cannot control other people. We cannot control the environment outside ourselves. The only thing that we have control
Unless you're the queen dictator of your own company, then you control everybody and what they wear to work.
is in here. You know my favorite Stephen Covey quote, carry your own weather. Carry your own sunshine with you. Even if you're walking into an office place with a bunch of, rainy day, stormy people, you can be the sunshine. You can be the light. So your energy.
So if that's true, why do you care about other people's attitudes? If they do their job perfectly well, why do you care if they have a bad attitude? If you carry your own weather, wouldn't their attitude not affect you in any way? Again, another contradiction that doesn't quite make sense. It's just like whatever she wants, like, carry your own weather, be your own person, but also control everyone else's behavior by forcing them to have a fake positive energy while they're in the office.
Your contribution matters. And another big thing for me is I'm always paying attention to who is growing. So I wrote this down for you guys because I wanted to make sure I said it right. You have the title and the money of the role you were hired for, or the role, like whatever status you're at, your title and your salary, your money, your hourly, whatever it is based on the job that you're doing. So if you want something different, you must be something different. At my company, when we had a big team, everybody got a raise every year. Like even if it was just a small percentage, 5% or whatever.
5% is a fairly big raise, unless you're making like $10,000 a year. 5% when you get to those higher salaries is fairly significant. So I don't think she actually did give raises, because a small raise would not be 5%. A big raise would be 5%. In my opinion.
Everybody got a raise every year. But some people got big raises and some people got title jumps. And it wasn't just like, oh, the executive team. We would have assistants that went from coordinator to manager to, like, they worked their way up. It was about who you were as a person and what your contribution was. But the biggest change is that they changed. You don't get a promotion is like a new title, right? It's a new thing.
But a raise, you don't have to be promoted to get a raise or to be applauded for a job well done, or your team, brought in more revenue or whatever. Like if you have the money, you want to keep people happy. This is stupid. What do they call it? When you come in, or it's like, I want to say arbitration, but it's not. It's like when you go into a company and like the revolving doors like that, they try to keep you. Attrition, is it called? I'm stupid. It's like attrition, is that right? Where it's like you go, like for example, like going to Target, and you work at Target and you make, $15 an hour, and they really, as a company, there's a team of people in corporate that try to put in policies that keep people working at the cash register longer, have them working in these buildings longer, because it takes them more money to recruit, it takes them more money to hire someone, to train someone. So it's better for people once they're in the door working to keep them there. That is a business strategy. What she's describing here is like, I just fire people for whatever reason, and I just do whatever I want because, like energy is important to me. That's not a business strategy. That's why she's bleeding cash. Like, I'm not going to give someone more money if they haven't, completely changed roles. It's like, that's stupid, because that person's going to leave, go somewhere else and get a pay jump. That's stupid for your company. So if you care about what the company does and how, like, the company's success, like, that is a consideration that you should be making. So again, it just shows that she needs to probably go back to school or something and learn about business a little bit deeper than just like high school politics. That's what she's doing thus far. Yeah, maybe retention. There's another word though. It's retention, but it's like, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Let me find it.
If you are the same person, if you're contributing at the same level, if you're doing the same work, maybe in other companies, but for me, I want to see that you're evolving, right? Because at most companies, as you grow, eventually you're going to get to the place where you have people underneath you, right? You're going to have people who are on your team. But I can't, as a leader, give you someone on your team if I haven't seen your evolution or if I don't know that you can handle it. So a huge thing for me in terms of promoting people is I want to see growth. I want to see that you have grown as a person. And one of the ways, zero money, podcasts, YouTube, books at the library. You know, it's just going to be on my headstone. Those 3 things. I've been talking about them for 15 years, literally.
Again, more performative behavior. So if you want to get a promotion, tell me that you've listened to podcasts and watched YouTube videos. Doesn't matter who's created them. The actual, effectiveness of the techniques are not important. Books at the library, just tell me show me the cover of the books that you've read. All I care about is that you pretended to try and you're showing off that you've, done this thing to prove to Mommy Rach that I am, worth spending your hours to learn more things. I could listen to Lewis Howes for the next 25 years and learn nothing, but she would be impressed and give me a raise for that. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Rachel Hollis, is that you? I will slowly buy you a boat. With that 179 euro? Is that what that sign is?
I love you.
That's what Dave says. Dave says that as he sends us naked HD fun best adult dating site bots to ruin this live stream. Thank you very much, Rachel.
I've been telling people, podcasts, YouTube, books at the library. The information is out there. Whatever industry you are in, whatever area you want to grow, like there's so much knowledge that you can acquire that you don't have. And that knowledge adds value to that poker chip that you're like, imagine you're sitting in a meeting and someone's talking about, the best email service provider for your small business, and your email list is 100,000 people, and you've been using this one provider and they're not really equipped to take you guys to the next level. And you're like, oh my God, here's my poker chip. And you said, hey, I was just reading an article in Wired about the 5 best, service providers for small business. There are some pluses and minuses. I really feel like this one is super strong, but I can forward you guys the article and you can check it out, but that might help you to make a decision. That is the kind of contribution that people pay attention to.
Why? Because it doesn't mean anything. That article could be an advertorial. That article could be wrong. So just like randomly bringing up like, hey, I was reading in Girl Boss Inc. Vogue Teen People magazine that the best treatment for, or the best way women consume media is through Walkmans. They're making a resurgence. It's it's really big trend. I read it. It says we should probably invest in this thing called Quibi. It's basically, this like really amazing new technology. It's a tech company where they've created this brand new platform, which, they spend millions of dollars creating the shows, and then they're only 5 minutes long, and then you have to pay for it, and no one will. It's a really good idea. Yeah, I read it in wired.org. Oh, great. Now I'm going to promote you. Is that really the thing that you want your employees to do? Just regurgitate weird information that they've randomly come across? Like, there seems like better ways to prove your worth than that.
You added value based on knowledge that you were acquiring. Like, are you reading your industry trades? Are you reading newspapers? Do you know information about your industry? Do you know information? Like, if you work for a small business, pretend you own the business. You want to get promoted? No, pretend you own the business. It's called an intrapreneur. It's someone inside of the team who acts as if it's
if you want to be promoted, you should have as much stake in this company as me, but not physically, only in your mindset. Like, I know, the success of the company goes directly to my bottom line and to my bank account, but you should act in the delusion that you also have some sort of stake in this. I'm not going to give you a stake because that would be silly. Only me and Davey get to have stakes in this. But if you want to get a little bit more pittance from me in my payroll department, then maybe you should act like this matters to you too. It's like, how about you give stock options to or equity to your employees? How about that? That sounds pretty fair. No, just play the game. Play the politics game as if you get stock options, but you don't. That's the way to get ahead.
Their business and tries to figure out ways to make that business stronger. Doing a ton of research on sales, doing a ton of research on social media or marketing. How can you contribute through your knowledge? Constantly acquire knowledge about how to make yourself stronger, your business stronger. And this is a key. Make sure people know. You can't, again, remember, a promotion doesn't happen in a silo. A promotion requires other people to give you more money and a better title. That's not going to happen if nobody knows. You're growing, but nobody knows. So,
I thought you said in the meeting, don't say anything unless you're providing value. Don't tell people how amazing you are. Just shut up until you want to use your poker chip to tell me about a random article you read. That's the path to salvation here. Okay, but also make sure you tell people of all your accomplishments. But also don't do it unless it's been a year, because it's not going to matter during your promotion either. It's like, what? What? I would just be so frustrated.
Podcast, books at the library, YouTube, about subjects that would be helpful, read your industry trades, take an online course, go to conferences. When we had the bigger team, when we had, 60 people pre-COVID, we had
pre-cancellation. I'll help fix that for you, Rachel.
A stipend. Every single employee got a stipend every single year. I think, oh God, I'm going to misquote it. I want to say it was $800. Some old employee is going to get on Glassdoor and be like, it was $300, it wasn't $8. I don't remember.
See, the fact that she even jokes about that, oh, some employee of mine's going to get on Glassdoor and shit talk me. It's it shows that she doesn't have a good relationship with her employees, that she knows that that's going to happen probably, that someone would, take the time to go and disparage her, podcast. It just shows yeah, she probably has enemies that she's let go or, screwed over the years.
I think it was 8. And we had that amount of money set aside that you could use for continuing education. So anything that you did, if you were a graphic designer, you wanted to take an online class. If you worked in accounting and you wanted to go to a finance conference, if you wanted, whatever it was, you got a stipend to help you grow. Because as a human, my greatest value is growth. It's my greatest value. And so I wanted to weave that into the company. So I set money aside so that people could use it to educate themselves in whatever way felt good. Do you know how many employees over all the years took advantage of that? Me neither. Because they rarely did.
Because I had no tracking system at all. And we barely spoke about it possibly. Or I guess the way that you have to tell her that you took advantage is that you would performatively tell her or post on Instagram how amazing the Hollis Company is that gave you a stipend to go to a Tony Robbins conference. Give people if you're going to give them a stipend, let them choose and do with whatever they wish. But the fact that it doesn't count unless that they've made a big deal about it is the problem.
And when they did, occasionally, I would hear about it. Occasionally. Now, I would say across the board, even at 60 employees, we're always around each other. It was an open concept. We're always around each other. I literally can only remember one person, which was Michelle. Michelle started as my assistant, worked her way up, ended up on the accounting team. Incredible. And I always remember Michelle being like, can I use the money to go do this? Can I use the money to take this? Can I use the money to get this certification? Yes, 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 yes. Incredible. And I still remember it. She has moved on. She is out there doing incredible things. I still remember that she is the person who took that on.
But what does it actually matter? She's not at the company anymore. You didn't do enough to keep her around. You didn't sustain her as an employee. You didn't entice her enough to stay. So what is the point? That person went off and moved on. So if you only care about the company's success, you don't really care about individual people, what they do, unless they impress you in this very kiss ass way to you if they want to like, kiss your ass, basically, like it sounds like this woman may have done by asking a bunch of questions and like probably saying like, I love Tony Robbins. I'd rather take that $800 and burn it alive than go to a Tony Robbins conference. So, there you go. But it's like, okay, so great. So you like this person who no longer works for you? Who cares? This is totally inconsequential to her life anymore. That, I took advantage of this thing when I worked at this job. Okay, great, wonderful. Didn't go anywhere, most likely. And then Rachel's company, it has nothing to do with her either because she doesn't work there anymore. So what's the lesson here? Nothing.
Now, not every company gives you money to go do it, but imagine that a company does and you're not taking advantage of it. Even without a stipend to help you grow, there's unlimited resources for funds. And here's the thing, even if your company doesn't have a stipend, I bet you money that if you found something that would help you do your job better and you took it to your boss or you took it to HR, you took it to your leader and you were like, hey, there's this really cool certification for blah, blah, blah that's going to help me run our Shopify better. Is it cool if I take this course? It costs $300, would the company pay for it? I bet you'd be shocked. Number one, you got their attention, right? Because they know that you're contributing. They know that you care about growth. Number two, they pay for it, right? Like it's a win-win. And even if they say no, it's in their head that you're thinking about that you're wanting to grow. So I put making sure that you're committed to growth, but making sure people know. I think making sure people know.
You can be committed to growth, but make sure that it's not just personal growth. It's personal growth with you telling everyone about it at all times so that, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? If you are, successful and happy, if you're not constantly posting about it or making entire podcasts and businesses around your success, does it actually matter? According to Rachel Hollis, no, it does not.
Across the board is so important here. Like, no, not just that you're growing, but also that you want to get promoted, that you want to elevate. It sort of brings me perfectly to my next and last category here. First was contribution. Second was growth. Third, you want to get promoted? I'm going to ask you, where is your focus? What are you focusing on? If you haven't listened to it, episode 222 of this podcast, I talk all about manifesting and what we bring into our life. I believe that we create our life with our thoughts, with the energy that we put out, we create. If we see blessings and we focus on the goodness and we work.
Hell yeah. You create your own reality, Rachel. That's why your reality is a living hell, apparently.
When we do these things, that is what comes into our life. Not to say that life doesn't also have hard times and doesn't bring you, the cancer diagnosis, that life doesn't bring you the hardship, that life doesn't bring you the divorce, that life doesn't bring you those things. But I believe that what we focus on, we create. And when you are focusing on where you want to go, when you are specific with where you want to go, that's what happens. So specifically, what is the title that you want? What is the amount of money that you want to make, right? Do you know those things? I have on my wall right now. I'm not going to show you. I'll show you like after they come true. But on my mirror here, I have 6 months and 12 months. And I have 3 goals that I am manifesting in 6 months and in 12 months. And I looked at it today because I just put this.
I'm manifesting my goals by working towards them every day. That's not called manifesting. That's called working towards your goals. These interchangeable words are so funny. I'm manifesting my goals. It's like, oh, okay, you're working on it every day and you're putting effort into it. That's just called achieving your goals. Why is it called manifesting? I'm manifesting because I heard it was popular right now. This is a new term that's popular, so I'm going to use it constantly.
Like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I looked up here today and I was like, holy crap. The second thing on my list that seems totally impossible is gonna come true in like, it's gonna happen so fast. And I've been working on it for a while, so it's not just that I put it in front of me, but knowing what it is you want is so freaking crucial. Where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. What are you focusing on? When you focus on wanting to get that promotion, when you focus on that salary you want to make, when you focus on the perks that you're hoping for, when you focus on those things, you talk to other people about it. You tell other people, everybody knows, oh yeah, like her dream is to be creative director, and she's backing it up with her growth. She's backing it up with her contribution. She's backing it up with the energy that she brings to this. She's backing it up with how she dresses, how she shows up in the office, the joy she brings to the workplace. Like, you will be shocked at how fast it happens. Shocked, right? You will be shocked. Where focus goes, energy flows.
Oh, I'm shocked. Just wanted to say that. I'm shocked.
Write it down. I put it on my mirror. You can put it on your bathroom mirror. You can put it on Post-its. You can put it in your car. You can make it the screensaver on your phone. Where focus goes, energy flows.
Oh, thank
You
you.
can create a vision board. I love a Pinterest vision board. If you haven't ever made a vision board on Pinterest, I suggest it because, you know, when we get like magazines, like old school, and you like cut them out and you put them on a poster or whatever.
The thing is, it's like, that's not what it's going to be like. You becoming creative director is not going to look like what you fucking pin on Pinterest. Like, oh, a woman with a hat holding camera. Oh, a woman sitting on a couch that's, you know, I don't know. I don't even know what like taking a photo of somebody on a computer. Like, that's not how it's actually going to be. It's going to be real life scenarios doing things. Hello, Steven's home, everybody. It's just, it's not like, that's like the fantasy of what being a creative director would be when you're a kid and you think about like, I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to be a doctor. Like the fantasy, the playtime of it is one thing, but then the actual reality of like day in and day out grind, it's not going to be that Pinterest board. That's the thing you got to actually think about when you're making these decisions. Like, it's not going to be this flowery, you know, again, like fake image set up to make it look like, oh, this is what being a creative director is. No, it's going to be like, okay, do I want to work 10 hours? Is this a 10-hour-a-day job? Is this a weekends and nights type of job? Is this an 8 hours and I'm out type of job? That's just that kind of things you need to actually think about and work towards, as opposed to Pinterest boarding your what? Like, what am I Pinterest boarding? I don't even get this. I need to focus. Like, how about you figure out what you actually want in your life? If you want to work for a company that's going to treat you like this and have to wear your stupid outfits to fit into the office, like, if that's what you want, pursue it. But think about that first, would be my advice.
That's hard because you are only able to put things that you find in the magazine. Whereas if one of the things you envision in your future life, or like, what's life going to be like when you get promoted to manager of the bank, right? You can put like the car that you want to drive, or the home you're going to buy for your kids, or maybe the vacation. You can like put all sorts of visuals that will keep you focused on the life that you're creating and the why behind this promotion. I have never met a person who was trying to grow in their life, who was trying to get promoted or make more money, who was doing it for themselves. I literally have never. Every single time,
except
my
for
listeners,
me,
my readers, people who come up to me at book signings or at conference, you're doing it for other people. Yes, you are working and you are doing things, and maybe you're Enneagram 3 and you're, you know, trying to achieve, but everybody I know, you're doing it for your baby. You're doing it because your parents don't have retirement. You're doing it for other people. And you need to remember that why. You need to stay focused on where it is you're going. Those 3 things, man. How are you contributing? How are you growing? And just on a personal manifesting level, are you staying focused on the prize ahead? Are you staying focused on where you want to go? There's a great, I think I've recommended it to y'all several times. There's a book called The Gap versus the Gain. And there's this great story in it that I'm just going to keep retelling because I love it so much. It's about the British or the English rowing team. They were going to the Olympics and they hadn't won an Olympic gold medal in like 80 years or something. And so this rowing team decides.
It's my favorite story. I don't know any of the details. I don't know where it happened. I don't know what year it happened. It's my favorite. I love it so much.
We're medaling at the next Olympics. And they came up with one simple question that they asked about everything that they believe was what contributed and helped them win not just a medal, but a gold medal at the next Olympics. And that question was, will it make the boat go faster? That became the question for everything in their life. You're in college and you want to go to a frat party. Will it make the boat go faster? No. Guess you can't do it. You are, out with your friends and you want to have a big dinner, but you've got training in the morning. Will it make the boat go faster? No. I guess that's your answer. Oh, you're really tired and you don't want to do 30 more minutes in your training session today? Will it make the boat go faster? Yes. Well, I guess that's your answer. I love something that simple. And when we're focused on where we want to go, when we're focused on that promotion, I love asking yourself a question that simple. Will it make the boat go faster? Will this help you get closer to your promotion? Because when you have that much energy, that much focus, that much drive, and you're staying laser focused on where you want to go, I think you'll be shocked at how fast it comes true. I think you'll be shocked.
I thought if we would be shocked if we manifested it, if we just wrote it down on a piece of paper and then vision board about it. But now we have to also be shocked that we're going to get it by focusing on it. And also, are we focusing on what Rachel wants? Like what we're trying to predict what mood she's going to be in at one time? Just focus on that 100%? Or are we focusing on like job security, don't want to be on the streets? Like that's what we're focusing on? Like, will this make me get a promotion? Well, I don't know because it's not in my control. There's, basically I'm only able to wait 1 year before I'm considered for a role change or for a raise. So basically you have no control over that. Will this make the year go by faster? No. Okay, well, I guess I'll just do nothing then. I don't know. It's so stupid. She's just running out of stuff to say.
There is a time and a place, and I bet this is true for a lot of you. You know that it's time to ask for the next thing. Or better yet, it's time to ask your manager what you can do that would make it, they would be thrilled to give you more money. Like, what a question for your manager. What are some results that I could produce that would make you thrilled to give me more money, that would make you thrilled? Not just okay, here's more money, but oh, hell yes. I've had that. I have had the most incredible teammates. I have the most incredible teammates that I'm yes, 100% with all the joy in my heart. Here's some more money because you are contributing at a level that I notice, that I see growth, that I don't want to lose you on this team because you are so important to us that it's worth every single penny to keep you here. The last piece of advice I'll leave you with is one I heard very early in my.
I wish you would give specific examples about that. Like this one time, this woman, Michelle, she was working on a project and XXX, no wonder we get the Dave bots, X, Y, and Z happened. And that's why I promoted her and I gave her Hello. Sorry, I unplugged my mic. That's why I gave her $20,000 more. So that's a great example. It's again, that would be more helpful to me than this vague, figure out what to wear. It's how about you get, you actually are the boss and you are giving names of employees and stories. So why don't you give one that's actually productive and then tell us how long they worked there? No, of course not, because that's not going to make her look good. And we know that's all she cares about is looking good to the public.
I mean, when I was a baby assistant, I was 19 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. And that was every single job that you do, make it so that this company, this team, these people can't live without you, right? Make yourself so invaluable to the efforts of this team and this company.
How did you do that, Rachel?
Not only can't they live without you,
Miramax no longer survived after you worked there for 1 year. They just completely crumbled.
They will happily pay more to make sure that you're happy. All right, my friends. I hope that this podcast was helpful.
Jeez.
I hope I shared some information that you really dug. If I did, if you're still here.
All right. Well, that was something. That was something that I have consumed now twice. That was my second time listening to it. I'm going to listen to it a third time to hear what Heather had to say. Heather, the lawyer. And if you have extra time and you want to hear that again, I recommend going to listen to it on her channel because she always has really good insights, and she's very articulate with how she says. And she was a former fan. I was a fan too of Rachel, but I didn't ever went to a Rise in person. Especially when I was still interested or when I was still into like self-help and stuff. So I went to Rise virtual after I was already a hater troll. So it's a different experience. Combine my thoughts with Heather's thoughts and you'll be like the mastermind. You can actually have a mastermind of this one topic about Hollis Co promotional world. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So housekeeping things. Dave has this to say.
Oh, I love that sound.
That's what Rachel says when someone gets fired and they're crying and they're packing up their desk. She's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't stand out more, Rachel.
Oh, I love that sound.
And that's what Dave says in the background as he's also packing up his desk. All right. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Like I said, I'm releasing the Gabby. I always want to call her Gabby Hanna. Gabby Bernstein video next week. If you want it now, if you cannot hold on till next week for that video to come out, it is now already available on my Patreon. Would love to have you join there if you're interested. I'm trying to make this a sustainable business so I can keep making videos like this and also expand them out into other gurus because I think there's so many more to talk about. Obviously, Rachel's my favorite. The Hollis universe is my favorite because I know the most about them. But I would love to expand it out more and talk about, like impact theory has been really, the Tom and Lisa Bilyeu have been really interesting to me as of late, as I've done some more research. So I would love to, get more into depth with them and listening to their stuff and critiquing them more heavily. So, I'm trying to be more open and cool with like manifesting money because, and I don't mean that seriously, but, trying to make this a sustainable process and practice because right now I'm doing both things. I'm working and doing YouTube, which is fine. But if possible, I would love to be able to get better and do this more often so I can dedicate more time to it because I really enjoy it. So, and no pressure. Obviously never no pressure, but if you want to join, I'm trying to put perks in there that are actually, fun and cool and better than just like support me, donate to me because I'm poor. So anyways, that's my rant. I'll continue to work on my money issues and I'll update you on how it goes. Okay, so I'll be gone, but I'll be on Instagram as well. So follow me there. I'll share some guru stuff there every so often. I made a lovely video last night, ironically, using audio that a lot of not ironic boss babe manifest money people were dancing to called Stop Being Poor. So that's the type of content you can see over there on Instagram. And I'll be back and we'll be doing Cringefluencers next Friday. And we're going to be doing a new guru. I'm not sure who yet. So that's the schedule. That's it. I got to go rock climb now. Yeah, look at that rock climbing bicep. Okay. I'm becoming Heidi. Guys, I need to show you a workout. It's going to be a butt workout, though. Anyways, now I'm rambling. All right, everybody. See you later. And I will talk to you